Welcome to Notes from the Not There Yet, a podcast for those navigating life's messy middle. Not lost, not arrived, just not there yet. It's the real stories, real life, and relevant journeys that you can actually relate to. It's for the creatives, the seekers, the doers, and the dreamers. If you've ever asked yourself, is this it or what's next? Then this is the podcast for you. We don't have it all figured out yet, and that's the point. All right, let's dig in. Hello! Welcome to Notes from the Not There Yet, the podcast for those navigating life's messy and meaningful middle. Not lost, not arrived, just not there yet. In today's episode, we have the incredible Jordan Stachini, founder of co&co, marketing strategist, business owner, and someone whose way of thinking about work, relationships, and identity genuinely stopped me in my tracks when we first spoke. Jordan has built a successful marketing agency in Manchester, but that's not why I wanted her to come on the podcast. What really stood out to me was the way she speaks so confidently and openly about confidence, decision-making, gender, ambition, and choice without watering her opinions down, but without shouting it out either. In this brilliant conversation, we talk about what it actually takes to know yourself and stand by it. We talk about gender, stereotyping, and International Women's Day, relationships, endings, and the cost of delaying the hard decisions. We also dig into therapy, structure, and learning how to sit with discomfort. Jordan also talks about being child-free by choice and why that decision still makes some people feel uncomfortable. And we bring all that together and we talk about how Jordan shows up in work through her leadership and the way that she runs her business. We also explore and really get into marketing, the noise, the overhype, AI, apprenticeships, and what young people really need to hear right now, but always through the lens of values, accountability, and sustainability. This is an episode about becoming more honest with yourself and building a life and career that actually fits into who you are, not who you're expected to be. If you enjoyed this episode, if you love this conversation, please do give us a follow, a share, or a subscribe. It really just helps connect this podcast with more people who are navigating their own messy middle. All right, let's dig in. Right, Jordan, welcome. So glad to have you here today, especially because it's like first day in our new little studio as well.
Love it, love it.
New
yeah.
pictures and everything. So, for anyone that's meeting you for the first time today, tell us, who is Jordan? Describe what you do. Yeah, tell us.
So I'm Jordan.
Yeah.
I own a marketing agency. We're based in Manchester. And we don't do everything. We specialise in a couple of main areas. So branding, organic socials, and then we do a lot of offline events and brand activations as well. So business has been going just over 6 years. We just turned 6 in February, which is mad.
Congrats.
And as I tell everybody, complete accidental business owner, was never, ever meant to be the plan. I worked in-house prior to, doing my own thing. And the plan was literally just to be a consultant when I left full-time employment. I handed my notice in just at the start of 2020. And we all know what happened in 2020. The arse fell out of the world.
Timing.
So I literally registered the business on the 24th of February 2020. And then on the 24th of March 2020, that's when we all went into lockdown for 2 weeks. And that ended up being 2 years.
Yeah.
So started a bit, but it was a bit like, and people, will often ask me, well, how did you cope starting a business in COVID? Look, we didn't know what we know now.
Yeah.
And hindsight's a wonderful thing. It's 2020 vision, right? So,
definitely.
I didn't know then. I thought it was genuinely going to be 2 weeks. I can remember having a holiday planned for April and being like, oh, we're all over by then.
Yeah.
We'll be on holiday.
Yeah.
No, not at all. Nowhere near going on holiday. So, so the plan was just me on my own, consultant, 3 days a week. and just having a really nice work-life balance. Got massively out of hand, and now we're a team in Manchester, office. You know, probably have worked more in the last 6 years than I have in my entire career. You know, up to that point, but I absolutely love it. And you know, the team we've created and the value add of the business and what we do. You know, I was talking to someone recently around the business turning 6, and we are so confident and comfortable now in what we do as an agency and what we do as a business. And I've actually always been very good at saying no to things. So, you know, even in the very start, if something kind of came my way, and you don't always know where the next job is coming from, but I always was good at saying, no, that's not right, or I'm not the right person for that, or you're not the right person for me. So it's kind of stayed true to that. And, you know, I think that could the business be bigger than it is now if I had said yes to more? Maybe, but would I have loved everything that we did? No, I wouldn't. And when I started the business, someone said to me, you can grow in 2 ways. You can either grow with stability or speed, but you can't have both. And I'm very risk averse as a person, like I am. People think I'm not a deep thinker because I make a lot of decisions on my own, but I am a big thinker. And I do take my time to, you know, really get to grips with things in my head, and that I like being able to sleep at night and being responsible now for other people's rent, mortgages, holidays, you know, what they want to do with their lives isn't lost on me. So it's important to me that it has grown in the right way. And, you know, we've always been in the black. We've never taken any investment. The business is healthy. We're never chasing payroll. And I know people with much bigger businesses than mine, but the reality is there's no money in the bank. They're constantly chasing payroll. People aren't being paid, whether that be staff or suppliers or rent, whatever it might be. And that just doesn't sit right with me on any level. No. So, we've been going a little while now, and everyone now keeps saying, I need a plan. Like, what's your plan now for what you want to do? So I'm having to start to think about what that looks like, you know, kind of longer term. But I love it. I absolutely love it.
And so how many people are actually in your team now?
So we're a team of 5. Full-time. Nice. And then we have a number of kind of part-time and fractional people as well that support us. Again, that's quite intentional because I don't want the business to ever get any bigger than 10 people, and that includes me. So, you know, we're on our way to getting there. And I guess in my head, I've written it off that if I have these people on the outskirts that we kind of employ on a fractional or you know, a looser basis, I'm less close to that, and therefore I'm more comfortable with it.
But I think there's also like a bit of a strength in that almost. Like you say, coming back to kind of how you've chose your clients, how you decide who to work with, how you've decided how your business grows and almost kind of controlled it going beyond what you want it to be. Like for me, there's like a strength in that because you're able to really, I guess, continue to carve out what your business looks like as it continues to build.
100%. And you know, every hire that we've taken, and listen, we've made some bad decisions as well in the past. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm the best person at recruiting people. I'm not. I've made some really bad decisions, but you know, you learn from them. But it's, you know, one of the girls was saying to me yesterday, who do you think the next person in the team's going to be? And I have an idea in my head of what that person needs to do, just because of, and it's really based around what am I doing in the business in terms of the actual on the tool stuff, because I want to do less of that. I need to do less of that. I don't necessarily want to do less of that. And, you know, I need to do less of that. So what is the stuff I'm still getting involved in? And then who do I bring in to free that up so then I can focus on the next build and you know, the next kind of bit of progression.
I bet you're finding that difficult though, in terms of like,
what gives you that impression? It's something that's got easier.
Good. Yeah.
I mean, I don't have children, which I know we're going to come on to, but my sister has said it's a bit like having kids. Like, you have the first one and you shit yourself.
Yeah.
The second one is okay. And by the third, you're like, oh, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Are they even there?
Yeah, just like they'll survive. So employing people feels a bit like that as well. So the first one feels super, super scary. And then after that, it feels less scary. But then I think that's kind of how every decision feels in what I've done. And, you know, I think back to the very start of the business and decisions that I was having to make, that now I think I would pass that decision on now to someone else to make. I wouldn't make that decision. And, you know, I think about decisions I was making a year ago that felt massive, that now don't feel big at all, and decisions that I'm having to make now that feel huge that I know in 12 months time aren't going to feel that significant. So it is just growth. But yeah, you know, it's important to me to be comfortable and be sure that I'm making the right decision for everybody now as well, not just me, because there is more than me to think about now.
Yeah, and I guess that comes back to that point of being risk averse, but actually that's really protective of you for yourself and your team and your company in the long run, which I think a lot of people sometimes aren't, and that can get them into real trouble. And do you feel like you really kind of take that responsibility of your team like on your shoulders?
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah, 1,000%. They always send me memes of like, you know, when your boss sees that someone sent you a bad email and they go and like shoot the place up. Like that is 100% me. But it's like, I think I definitely I have that trait in me anyway, to be a very kind of protective, loyal, you know, if you're in my circle, you're totally in, and I will ride or die for you. If you're not, I couldn't give a fuck about you, to be honest. And it's kind of like that with my team. But what I've had to learn, especially over the last 12 months, and I would say the last 12 months has been a real big learning curve for me as the leader of that business and the owner of that business, is I have had to put processes in for my team. I've had to set an example for the team, but not as in for them to step up, but just to kind of set boundaries and things with clients. So an example is, I am an early riser. I'm out of bed at 4:45 every morning. I'm in the gym for 5. I'll do an hour there. I'm out the door for work at 7. I'll do my day. I'll come home. I mean, I'm in bed by 8:30.
I was gonna say, what time do you go to bed?
No, I'm in bed by 8:30, full skincare, everything. But you know, I'm up early. But what I would do ordinarily is at some point in that window between 4:45 and 7 o'clock, I would be firing back emails to clients and, you know, things like that, or replying to people, or I'm getting stuff off my desk. Now, I do not expect anyone to respond to me at that time, and I certainly don't expect my team to do that. However, that works for me because then I go into work and I know I'm like straight with the world. But what I learn is that what that is doing is it's setting an expectation for clients that I will do that. And therefore I would start getting emails from people saying, can you look at this in the morning because I have a meeting at 8 o'clock or whatever. And you think, I get why you're doing it, but it's not okay. But then what I was also doing then, I was setting an expectation that that's how co&co work. And it isn't how co&co work. And I do not, you know, my team have not chosen to create this business. They have not chosen for it to be whatever it ends up being. They've chosen to come and work and be a part of it. And I really respect that and the boundaries that brings. So what I did this year is I put the boundaries in place for myself that I do not reply to any work email from a client or anybody, even in the team, unless it's between the hours of 8:30 and 4:30, which are our working hours. Now, that doesn't mean I don't read the email, have the idea in my head of what I'm going to send back, or even have it in my draft ready to press go.
I was going to say, scheduling's a great tool.
100%. But I don't do that in the same way. And actually, one of the kind of benefits of that I've realised is, you know, that having a bit more time to really think about what that says and the best way to go about it, and, you know, is actually a good thing, because there's times where I'll be like, right, okay, this is the answer, and I'll have it in my draft ready to go, and by the time I go to send it, I'm like, actually no,
that reflection
let's do
point.
this, or let's do that. So that's definitely something I've learned. And even things like, you know, the speed that I work at, I've become very aware that I work at a very different speed to everybody else. Now again, I don't care about that, you know, I don't expect people to work at the speed I do, but what I was doing again was setting an expectation that something can be done in that period of time just because I can do it. Now, you know, I always say to people, when you're paying for my time, you're not paying for the hour it might take me. You're paying for the 15 years it's taken to know I can do it in an hour. Do you know what I mean? So if I pass it on to someone more junior who's very much capable, it might take them a day. But they are junior to me. You're not paying for their 15 years of experience of how to do it in an hour. If you want to pay for mine, that's fine, but it's a different cost. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So that's another lesson over the last year that definitely has been something that I've had to learn. And, you know, again, that's been kind of fed back to me by the team of, this is unrealistic. I can't do it.
It's so easy though, isn't it, to fall into those traps? Like, I'm just thinking of like monkey see, monkey do type thing. When you've got juniors, again, that you're responsible for, you know, like I've managed a team before, because of your traits and habits, especially as you're kind of learning actually what the impact of you has on people, it's sometimes so hard to see it when you're in your flow. You know, like you say, you've been doing this for 15 years, you're in your flow, and it almost needs to take someone to kind of go like, where are the boundaries here? Like, how are we going to support your juniors? How do you help them kind of get to your level?
100%.
But without it having a negative impact, both on yourself probably as well as them.
Absolutely. And there's one particular girl that works for us called Kev. She's called Keisha, but we call her Kev. She'll kill me if I don't say her real name's Keisha. And she is like, everyone that meets her is like, she's a mini you. Like, she is, and I'm not intentionally doing that. She is just, she's young, she's learning.
Soaks it in.
And she's soaking it in. Now, you know, there has been, I think, in the past, part of her that's like, well, Jordan can do it like that, so I should be able to.
Yeah.
And I've said to her, but like, you're 20.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I didn't even know this thing that you're doing at your age. Like, you're already ahead of me at your age, but stop comparing yourself at 20 to me at 36.
Definitely.
Like, it's, you know, it's like judging a fish on how good it is at climbing a tree. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's never going to, but ask it to swim and it will be brilliant.
Yeah.
So all of that stuff over the last year has definitely been that. And, you know, what is my role in the business? My role in the business is to be the front line. It's to deal with the shit. You know, I have signed up for this. Like I say, I've signed up for this business and I have to deal with all that comes with that. So if that's dealing with clients that don't want to pay their invoices, if that's dealing with clients that aren't happy, if that is trying to manage their expectations and stuff, that's my job to do that. And I think over the last year, that's definitely the role that I've stepped into. And I would say that we are a better team, we're a happier team, because of that, I guess, self-reflection that I've had to go, okay, I have to step up now because the business has changed and therefore my responsibility in this business has changed.
Yeah. And how are you feeling in that role? Like, how is that for you personally?
So I don't, as a role, I don't mind it. Like, as I said, I think my traits work for it. So I don't mind it at all. I'm actually super proud of seeing the team deliver while I've taken a step back to be more of the, you know, the business side of it, and seeing them actually step up and deliver and back each other. And, you know, we've had a week this week where we've got people off on annual leave, and that always causes a bit of a stress. But it was actually the test of the two youngest that we have in the business. One of them was off, and, you know, the other junior was having to pick up, and it was a real test there of, is she going to be able to step up? And oh my God, has she stepped up this week? Like, and I said to her, I was on a panel yesterday for International Women's Day, which I know is probably something that we'll touch on as well.
We will.
I think, but anyway, so,
very good timing, actually.
Great timing. So I was on a panel for that, and normally the girl that's on annual leave, she would come with me and she'd get all the content, and, you know, she kind of works very closely with me. But she's obviously not there, so I'd said to this other member of the team, listen, you come with me, film it, this is the edit that we need to get, etc., etc. And we're in the car coming back, and she said, I love doing side missions with you. Can I do more with you? Like, I really enjoyed it. And I said to her, you absolutely can. I said, but can I just say, this week you have really, really impressed me. Like, not that I didn't think you were capable of it, but you have, I think if you look back, I think you've impressed yourself this week, because you've completely stepped up and you haven't once moaned or, you know, whatever. And you really, really, I think you've shown yourself this week. And again, I think that feedback and that conversation with the team is really important.
So important.
Because, you know, without blowing smoke up my own arse, they're going to look for validation from me, and they're going to look for praise. So, you know, I'm a big one for give credit where it's due. And if someone's done an amazing job, let's shout it from the rooftops.
Definitely.
And even with clients, you know, again, clients can be a bit blind to who's doing the work, and they can throw a load of praise my way. But I'm the first one to go, it's fuck all to do with me. I wouldn't even know how to start that. You know, that's Chez, or that's Kev, or it's Lib, or it's or whoever it is that's done it. And I think that's important, because it's their work, it's their time, and ultimately it's their craft that is delivering that. It's not mine.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree with you more in terms of like feedback. I feel like it's so important, and that actually a lot of people don't prioritise giving it, whether it's positive or constructive feedback as well, because without it you can't grow as a person.
100%.
And that's at any level. That's up
absolutely
with yourself, and that's like you say with your juniors as well. Okay, we are going to come back to business a little bit later. I want to come a bit more to kind of you. So take all of co&co and
Yeah.
the business and put that just in a little box for now.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Who am I? So I am a very, what would I say? A very normal person.
Yeah.
And I think, again, people can have a bit of a misconception about people that own businesses. First of all, everyone thinks you're a millionaire.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks that you have like this really glamorous lifestyle.
Yeah.
I mean, I've literally just said I'm in bed by 8:30, so I couldn't be less glamorous if I tried. But I am from a big family. So I'm one of 4 kids, big Italian family. My dad's side are Italian. I'm one of 30 grandchildren just on his side.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God, amazing.
Catholics with no telly, that's all I'm saying. So one of 4, of which I'm the third. So I've got 2 older sisters. I've got a young brother. My dad's from Manchester, my mum's from Yorkshire, but as you can tell by my accent, I grew up down south, although I've lived back up in Manchester now for 14 years. Incredibly close as a family. And, they are, I think as a unit, especially as 4 siblings, we are incredibly tight. And there's been a lot of things that have happened through our lives that no matter what has happened, the 4 of us have stayed as a unit, and we very much operate like that.
Yeah.
We're very different as people. My eldest sister, who's the oldest of all, typical eldest daughter, literally every trait you can imagine. She makes me look like the fucking Easter Bunny. Like, she is just on another level to me. But it's actually really interesting because she's currently going through like a buyout of the company that she's been a director for years. So she's currently buying that out to own it. And as her little sister, I'm obviously always just her little sister. But because of this that she's going through, the conversation she's having with me and the questions she's asked me about what does this do, how do you do, it's been really, it's been lovely, but it's been a really interesting dynamic to be like, wait, you're asking me?
Yeah. You're like,
and I bet there's probably part of her that's like, I can't believe I'm asking my little sister these questions. So, there's her. And then I have another sister. She's an assistant principal at obviously at school. In my opinion, has one of the hardest jobs in this country, and she's incredible at what she does and her whole approach to it, and she's just amazing in terms of all of that stuff, and very well respected in her field. And then there's me, accidental business owner, and then there's my brother, who's a stand-up comedian. So
oh my God, I love that.
So we're all very, very different, but incredibly close, incredibly tight. And then outside of that, I have, as I say, a very unglamorous life. I have a little dog. I have a very small circle of friends. I'm not someone who has loads of friends. I don't collect people.
Yeah.
And like I said before, if you're in my circle, you're absolutely in. But if you're not, I literally couldn't give a shit. But I take that very seriously.
Yeah.
I'm very loyal to those people, and I would do anything for them. And I think I think that, again, is probably a bit to do with having lots of siblings and what that kind of dynamic does. But also,
you're almost used to that.
That unit.
Yeah.
But I don't also have a lot of time.
Yeah.
So I don't have time for the people that I already love. So I can't add more people to that and spread myself. So outside of that, I'm just, I'm really into my health and fitness. Obviously, that's something that kind of came into my life over the last kind of 4 or 5 years. I take that very seriously, and I take it seriously for lots of reasons, but ultimately it makes me a better person. And actually it makes me better at running my business, because the things that you need to be able to get up in a December or a January at 4:45 every morning and drag yourself out of bed where it's not going to be light for another 3 hours. The discipline, the kind of headspace, all of that, the consistency. You need all of that in business as well, and it teaches you how to do something that's really hard every single day and just keep going at it. Yeah.
Do you feel so? Like you say, you've got into your fitness kind of recently within the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Kind of previous to that, in terms of that, diligence to get up and do that, what did it look like before to kind of get to that point?
So before that, I was employed, so I was working somewhere. And listen, I've always been a get up early person. Even as a teenager, I was never lying in, or I just had I was the fucking annoying friend at 9 o'clock banging on your door like, what are we doing? Was there still like,
let's go.
Oh God. I've just never been that person. So that kind of side of it was never a bother for me. But I think I was having to get up to go to work and everything.
Yeah.
I had a job that was, you know, I travelled a lot. So kind of that had an element to it. But I think just as a person, I love routine. I'm very regimented. Someone probably wants to do a test on me and find out if there's something going on. But I'm very like routine.
Yeah.
To the point where if that changes, I really struggle. I struggle with, you know, if a plan changes, if a time changes, if something gets cancelled, I really struggle with that.
Yeah.
My diary, you know, at work, it's a shared diary, right? So I have everything in there. And even at the weekends, like today, it's, you know, do this pod, then it's go tile shopping, then it's get my nails done, then it's do. And if I had something to return to Zara, that would be in there for a half-hour slot, and I would go and do it at that half an hour.
Right.
So I am incredibly regimented. I eat the same thing every day. That is just who I am as a person.
I guess that supports the requirements of you though, right? Because like you say, when you're owning your own business, that mentally is a lot as well, in order to kind of support that, and almost your routine helps you.
100%.
Yeah
100%. And I don't do well with chaos. I don't do well with things not being organised. I really struggle with it. So yeah, that, I think again, that part of me, that element of me has just always been there.
Yeah.
So that was never kind of an issue. I think the difference was before I had no understanding or education in terms of wellness, fitness.
Yeah.
Whether that be mentally, physically, you know, nutrition, I didn't understand it. So it wasn't getting funneled into that part. But because now I do understand it, I've just applied my way of being to, okay, this is how we do fitness and wellness and, you know, everything else.
Yeah, amazing. What I would say about you, which I find like so refreshing, honestly, is you are very opinionated. You're so confident in kind of yourself, what you say, what you put out there into the world, very disciplined. And I find that refreshing, because I think a lot of women maybe aren't like that. Even, you know, myself, like I have opinions, but sometimes I'm kind of like, oh, should I say that? Should I not? Like, ooh. Where's that come from for you? Like, has that always been there? Do you think that's come from your family unit? Like, has it grown? Like,
I get asked that all the time, and it shocks me every time, because I don't feel that I am those things, as in I feel the opposite of those things. I know I am those things, but I don't see it as something I've had to become or
like build or...
No. And also what I would say is I only talk about things I know. I would never talk about something I had no knowledge of. And I think that's where a lot of people fall down, is that everyone thinks they have to have an opinion about everything. You don't. There are some things that you just don't have to understand. Or if you are going to have an opinion on it, go and learn about it first. Don't just open your mouth. I actually saw something on, I think it was Instagram or TikTok. The girls all laugh because they're like, definitely wasn't TikTok. You've never gone TikTok. But it was on social media. And it was this girl was saying, remember at school where you had like sets, and you had like set 1, set 2, set 1 to 7, for example. And she said, I think what's wrong with the world is we've lost sets. So we now have a world, because of social media and things, where we have set 1 people talking about set 7 problems, and we have set 7 people talking about set 1 problems.
Interesting.
And actually, neither has any knowledge or understanding of each person's problem. So they shouldn't be passing comment. And what we need to do is we need to focus more on what we can influence and try and understand the other sets. But you don't have a right to talk up or down or across to any other, you know, person unless it's your world. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, completely.
But I think in terms of that, you know, why am I like this? I do think it's down to upbringing and environment and everything else. And, you know, I can never remember as a kid not being allowed to say something. Now, don't get me wrong. If I said something that wasn't right or was unkind, I was fucking put in my place. Yeah. But I was we were all allowed to speak. We were all allowed to have I mean, we've turned out 4 different individuals. So that kind of speaks to what we were allowed to do. Now, we weren't allowed to do whatever we want. You know, there was definitely boundaries and there was guidance. And, you know, my dad and my mum, as 2 parents, came from very different backgrounds. So my dad pulled himself out of a council estate in Manchester, couldn't read or write when he left school. He now is having documentaries made about him and podcasts and books and everything else.
Wow.
My mum came from a very different environment, probably more like how I grew up, and, you know, had a different family dynamic to what my dad did, and didn't come from kind of, I guess, that kind of socio-economic background that my dad did. But together as two parents, they then had two very different views of the world and understandings, but a mutual respect of each other. And I think that has something to do with it as well, because, you know, I was very fortunate in the way I grew up. However, nothing was ever given to any of us on a plate. And, you know, while our friends might have been getting the new PlayStation or the new trainers or whatever, just because it was Saturday and it had come out, it wasn't that we couldn't have those things. It was, you can, but what are you going to do to earn them? So, you know, contributing to the house, doing things for each other. That was kind of the mindset. And I think that work ethic is then what was kind of put into us. And, you know, with that, if you are having to go and get a job because, you know, you want the new trainers or whatever as well, then you do have to become more confident earlier, because you're having to be in an environment that isn't kind of like what your friends being in. But I think, you know, that not wanting to speak, that I know other women feel. I mean, personally, I don't believe imposter syndrome is a thing. I don't believe in it at all. And it's not that anyone says it, I think, oh, you're full of shit. I believe you believe in it. I just don't, because my thought process is, but why not me? you know, whereas a lot of people think, oh, why, like, can I do this? I'm like, well, why couldn't I do it? You know, and also, if someone is coming to you to ask you to do something, the likelihood is they already think you can do it anyway. So, you know, and I would never sign myself up to something I couldn't do, but I'm just comfortable in what I can do, that I just think, well, why not? And I've done something a bit like that, and that's kind of similar. And, you know, I just think, if you can overthink the worst of everything, why can't you overthink the best? You know?
Yeah, which I think is, again, really refreshing to hear, because it's so easy to go into that negative, I think, sometimes. And, you know, a lot of people struggle with imposter syndrome. But I think, why not look at it? Like you say, like, why not look at it the other way?
You know, I had 3 very strong female role models above me. You know, my mum, I mean, talk about how the fuck did she do it? At one point, she had a 16-year-old and a newborn, a career, a husband whose job was taking him all over the place, 2 in the middle, and she was still at sports day, plays, you know, all of that stuff. Had an unreal career herself, and she did it all. You know, she would sit here now and say there's things that she doesn't think she did very well. You know, we had childminders and things like that, and I know that she can sometimes feel that she didn't do the best she could as a mum because of that. But, you know, none of us have any, you know, feeling like that towards her. We just remember her as being a fantastic mum, and she was a great role model. And then I've got 2 older sisters who were unbelievable role models as well. So for me, women being that way is just how women are. Well. It's not, and you know, having a dad who there was no conflict with that. That was, well, this is just how the women are. It's never been a thing in my head of, I'm a woman, therefore I can't do this or I can't do that. Or, you know, I think, to be honest, if I were to say that to my dad, I think he'd say, who the fuck do you think you are? Like, what's this pity party about? Like, why is this? Don't start playing that violin. Like, I'm not listening to it, type thing. So I think I was very lucky in the dynamic I've had around me, the role models I've had around me, and the encouragement that I was always given by my dad, my sisters, my mum, of, well, yeah, fine.
How do you think that translates into advice for, say, someone, whether, you know, a young woman in their 20s, someone in their 30s, like, how does that translate in terms of tactics of confidence almost, do you think? Like, do you think that can be taught?
I actually got asked this yesterday. I think you can teach it, but do I think you can teach it, or do I think it's just something that you build? It's probably more something you build. Because look, if you sat me down here and said, okay, let's talk about your thoughts on open heart surgery, I'm not going to be that confident on the subject. Do you know what I mean?
No.
But, you know, and again, I think it comes from that, like, just know who you are and know what value you add. You aren't going to add value everywhere. That's just not possible.
Yeah.
But know what you're good at and lean into that. But, you know, and I actually did a post about this week on LinkedIn about, you know, and this is where my issue of International Women's Day comes in. I don't really agree with it because it's all about, you know, equality and everything else. Fuck being equal. I want to be better than everybody. I don't care if you're a man, a woman, a dog, cow. Like, I want to be better at everybody, at everything I do. And now, again, I don't want to be the best at open heart surgery.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'll pick my battles and I'm going to be the absolute best I can be at everything I do. So I think that, you know, that can you learn it? Can you teach it? You can, but you have to have an understanding, first of all, as to who you are, what are your strengths, and know yourself, have a good self-awareness. You know, I am not the person that my friends would come to for a hug, but if they need to be told how something is, I'm absolutely the person that they will come to, and it will still be said with love and everything else, but it won't be covered in fluff, and it will be exactly as they need to hear it. I'm okay with not being the person you come to for a hug. That's not my bag. It's not where I have the value. But you know, when it comes to young women, and put yourself in the room, you know, physically, mentally, verbally, physically go and put yourself there. No one is going to invite you in. That's it.
So true.
So go in, know when to speak, know when to listen. Really trust the high level of emotional intelligence you have as a woman, because it is one of the best superpowers that we have as women. And be okay with that. You don't have to be the loudest in the room to be the most powerful or the most heard or have the most value. You know, a lot of people go into rooms and go into meetings and feel like they have to say something to be adding value. You don't. Sometimes your value is listening, going away and coming back with something. It might not be in that moment. So be okay with that, and fuck comparison. Like, stop comparing yourself to men, women, whatever. You all everyone is different. You know, I could compare myself to loads of people, but what I'm really doing is comparing things that they are to what I'm not and probably never will be. You know, like I've just said there, I don't compare myself to my friends who are the warm, soft, you know, why do I not feel, because I'm just not built that way, right?
And that's okay.
And that's fine. That's totally fine.
Yeah, I love that. I think one of the conversations that I have with Rob, my partner, like sometimes just regarding, like, it's a small example, but you know, like something that's going on in the news, for example, like, I don't watch the news.
No.
Like,
there's no good news, so why would you?
No, exactly. Like, my general rule of thumb is, like, if I hear about something twice, I'll go and research it myself and I'll find out information, because I genuinely think that most news, you don't actually hear about it twice. And then I'll educate myself so I know something to have. If that conversation's come up, I've got something to say. But I do think I actually take that into life in generally as well, because I can't know everything.
No,
like, you know, I've got my podcast, I've got my full-time job, I've got my friends. Like, actually, I don't need to go beyond that necessarily. But I think, to your point, it's like having confidence in that fact. Like, no one's expecting you to know everything all the time.
Yeah, definitely. And you don't have to have the answers either. Listen, there is so much going on in the world right now that I don't have the answer to it. You know, God knows who does, but it's certainly not me. And, you know, again, I think that you can choose how to live your life, can't you? And I think as long as my circle are happy, healthy, not being hurt, not hurting other people, I'm kind of okay with not knowing what's going on outside of that. And that might sound ignorant, that might sound whatever, but I think you can. And again, it comes back to my issue of International Women's Day. I don't feel that I have the power to affect change on a big enough scale.
On that level, Do
you know what I mean? So, you know, going and speaking to 100 coming into college girls yesterday, actually, I think there probably is something I can tell those, because they're at a point in their life where they are so influenced by people. They need role models that are different, or, you know, whatever. So there, I think I can. But you know, can I really change how women are going to live for the next 50 years? No, I can't.
No.
But, you know, as someone who employs young women, and I talk to them a lot about, you know, just make sure you're doing this and make sure you're doing that, without trying to be preachy, but kind of from a place of, I've lived this bit you're in, and this is what I would do if I could go back. you know, I have influence there, but it's on such a micro scale. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to change the world.
Yeah.
I'm really not. But if I can make my world, my tiny little world, better in some way, and it's the same with my nieces, you know, as I've said, my sisters, my mum, they're amazing role models of how you can be as a woman if you want a career, if you want children, if you want that more traditional life, absolutely fill your boots.
Yeah.
But if you don't want that, if you do want to go down a different path and not have children, or, you know, be married but not have children, or start your own business, or whatever, just do something that feels a bit more against the grain, that's okay too.
Yeah.
And, you know, hopefully I can fill that space of, there's another option. You don't have to go, you know, go down this road.
Yeah. So let's talk to that a little bit more in terms of International Women's Day, in terms of feminism, because you do have some kind of strong opinions in this space. So in terms of feminism specifically, look at your face. Go on, talk to me.
I fucking hate that word.
I know you do. Why do you hate that word?
So it's really funny because, again, my eldest sister would absolutely describe herself as a feminist.
Right.
And I'm just like,
some great combos.
yeah, because I'm just like, but you're not.
Yeah.
And what I mean by is, I don't mean you're not. I mean, I think that is missing the mark massively. And listen, there are amazing things that have happened for women over the last 50, 100 even years.
Yeah.
You know, you think back to, we couldn't vote, you know, and 50 years ago, a woman couldn't get her own mortgage. Like, how mad is that? And
it's not even that long ago.
It's not even that long ago. Like, couldn't have her own bank account. Like, that is, my nana had my mum and, you know, her sister at the time that was the case. And when my nana got divorced from my granddad, he had to buy her a house because she couldn't have her own mortgage.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
So we've come so far, and I think that's great. And listen, we're not done. There's loads more to do. My issue is, it has to be a level playing field. And I will never say don't encourage girls to go and do this or that or the other. But I think we're missing a point here with boys. I think what feminism does is it sees men as an enemy.
Yes.
Boys as an enemy, males as an enemy. And they're not. They're not. They're just the other half of the species living on the planet. And if it's going to be a good place to live, it has to work for everybody.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, we talk about, and there's so much, isn't there, in the news and everything about this crisis we have with young boys and, you know, their access to things like porn and OnlyFans and stuff like that. You know, we have a responsibility there to also teach young boys at a young age what actually healthy relationships look like, what healthy sexual relationships look like. We do have that responsibility. We can't look after the girls and leave the boys to fend for themselves until they're 15, full of fucking hormones, and then we wonder why they're all obsessed with porn and thinks that girls do all of these things. We can't do that. Like, we really do have to own it as a society that, you know, and again, biologically, we are wired differently. We have to understand that.
Yeah.
And then we have to make sure that we are educating both sexes in the right way so that we are creating nice people.
Yeah. I've been thinking about this because it's kind of like the, you know, gender stereotyping, but like you've just said, like, we are a different species in that sense. And we need to be kind of conscious of that and then kind of add that layer of training or support and guidance, because we still have those chromosomes. We're still
and the bit that gets me is, and there's, you know, Stephen Bartlett, who I have various opinions about anyway.
We can have a conversation about that too.
You know, he some of the things that he said recently in his podcast, and you know, he did a podcast recently where he was talking about this crisis with males, where, you know, there are more single men in the world than there has ever been. Yeah. And ultimately what he's saying in his lovely therapy, soft voice, so it doesn't sound misogynistic and fucked, is it's the fault of women that men feel this way, because women have been empowered to do what they want, have their own careers, be financially independent. And now women are able to choose a partner based on that person's character, not on, can you look after me?
Yeah.
And apparently for men, that's now a bad thing. And, you know, there's now this conversation of, do women need to readjust their expectations of men? Well, no, men need to evolve in the same way women have to understand that to be a good partner. And that's what women are wanting now. There are very few women out there now wanting providers. They want partners. So to be a good partner, what do you have to have? You have to be caring. You have to be understanding. You have to be, you know, quite a lot of traits that people would say are feminine. They're not feminine.
No.
They're just being a decent fucking human being. So we need to create decent human beings on both sides of the divide that can come together and be units and be partners. And, you know, I think that's really, really important. I've certainly found as a woman like me who has been single that there are a lot of guys out there who will say, oh yeah, I want this type of woman, you know, independent and everything. But actually the reality is when they have that, they don't really know how to deal with it. And there's part of me that's like, it's not really their fault. Like, you know, it's an education thing. So yeah, I do struggle with all of that, you know, kind of stuff. But I think we have to go back further. And again, I'll never say, don't, you know, say to girls that you can't be drummers or engineers or absolutely you can be whatever you want. But we also need to say to the little lads, if you want to go and work in a preschool, you can. If you want to work in a primary school, you can. If you want to go into like a caring profession, you can. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. And actually, the world would... Imagine if we had more males teaching in primary schools, the example that little boys at 4 and 5 would have going through their life. And then you go back to my point before about, you know, how are you this way? Because I've had these examples of women being this way since I was born. So if we can put those examples into the real world for girls and boys, we will get better humans out at the end of it. I'm convinced of it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it comes to your point, like, it has to start young, and it almost needs to like go back to like basics, doesn't it? Like basic values, basic kind of beliefs, but rather than it being kind of girl, you know, male and female, just like,
and I think
what does being kind mean?
100%.
What is
and
caring?
I think it is happening because my PT, she's about to have her second baby and they've already got another little boy. And I bought him a book that was, you know, I'm becoming a big brother or whatever. And it's all one of these to help a kid understand there's another baby coming and what that means. And I was reading it before I gave it to her. And there's a whole bit in there about feelings. And I was like, oh, I'm not sure about this. Anyway, I gave it to her. And she was like, oh no, like he's just been learning about feelings at school this week. And they talk about what a feeling is and why it's okay and, you know, how you deal with it and stuff. And I think that's amazing. I don't remember getting taught about feelings.
Definitely not.
But, you know, and that's a little lad being taught, this is what sad feels like. This is what happy feels like. This is what confused or whatever feels like. That is where we need to be starting, in my opinion. And this is my problem with feminism, because I feel like feminism doesn't want to have that conversation. It just wants to go, you're bad, we need to be better. And that doesn't sit right with me.
I am hopeful as well. Like, you know, there's people, I mean, I always come back to Jamie Lane because I'm just obsessed with him, really. But like, you know, everything that he did, I think, for masculinity in the last kind of year has been really strong. And there is like more people within, maybe I'm just like a 90s hun, so I'm like, you know, James Arthur's spoke out about this, Matt Willis has spoken out about this, Robbie Williams, but they're doing it now, which I think, I'd hope then that
becomes the norm.
Exactly. That is going to inspire younger boys 100%. To start to be like, oh, okay.
I think a really good example of that is, you know, the last series of I'm a Celebrity, Angry Ginge on there saying to Jack Osbourne, it's fine, like guys cry too. The amount of boys that will have seen that, because that is, but that is family time, TV, 5 nights a week, and you've got a YouTuber who is in the world of these young lads.
Yeah, massive.
Saying it's all right to be sad. Yeah. Boys cry too. And not even be saying it for anything other than that's just what's in his head. That's just his reaction. Yeah. That is more powerful for me than anything that a fucking government can do or know, whatever. And that was so natural and organic. So I would like to think that there are boys that filter into that, you know, next layer of people that will counteract the fucking, you know, Andrew Tates of this world and everybody else.
And I guess we've just got to see it in time, right? That's the thing.
And do our bit to call it out. And that's one of my things as well with, you know, kind of that I made the point on this LinkedIn post, have the bravery to call out bad behaviour, girls and boys, because girls, my biggest thing with young girls especially is when they play dumb.
Yeah.
And they're playing dumb because they think that makes them more attractive, more less threatening, whatever it is. Never fucking play dumb.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you see bad behaviour in girls and boys, fucking call it out and call it what it is. Because too many people think that they can get away with bad behaviour because it's the norm. It's boys will be boys or airhead or, you know, ditzy blonde, whatever it is. These stereotypes that we just have now as turn of phrases. No, like, call it out.
Yeah.
I fucking hate girls playing dumb because I just think you're just not doing anything for anyone.
For
girls
anyone.
Or boys.
Yeah, definitely. And coming back to kind of yourself in that space, like what you were just saying, because like you know, like I said earlier, you are refreshingly honest. And do you ever feel like kind of that level of honesty, like you being the woman that you are, has put you in like a risky position, or like have you ever felt like you've been threatened maybe because of like your confidence, being a woman, maybe kind of bringing the three together?
So I'm going to say no, but I just don't get intimidated by people.
Yeah.
You know, I can be impressed by people and in awe of people, but I've never felt intimidated. But again, I just think that comes back to I'm just sure of who I am.
Yes.
And I know that I have the control over that.
Yeah.
So no, I've never, listen, don't get me wrong, I'm sure there are people that I've come across, men and women, that wish I would shut up or, you know, not say what I've said, but I couldn't give a shit, really.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it anyway. So, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah. Good. Good for you. Okay, so in terms of, well, I'm going to come back to kind of you a bit.
I'm so conscious of the first conversation we had, and I'm like, oh, what's she going to ask?
I'm gonna talk.
I feel like I was on one the day you spoke to me as well. Yeah, I'm like, oh, I was pretty spicy that day.
No, I'm gonna come back to kind of your pivot, let's say, moment, and I don't want to dwell on this too much because I want to talk more about like the now and kind of but a big, I guess, turning point for you was you were in a relationship, you'd been in a relationship for 8 years and you decided to kind of break away from that relationship, and that actually sent you on a kind of bigger path for yourself, which was like going to therapy. So talk us through kind of what happened briefly, but more like what's that path that it took you on?
Yeah, so look, the relationship I was in, I've been in since my mid-20s. When I met my partner at the time, I was a single girl in my mid-20s living in Manchester, having a fucking great time. And, you know, I met this guy who was the opposite of that in terms of, you know, he was fun and everything, but he was very stabilizing for me. He was a really good influence on me. He was, you know, there was never... You know, when you're young and like you start dating someone, you're like, oh, do they like me? Do they not like me? Why have they not? There was none of that. It was just straight up from day one. And that was really refreshing. And he was different to me and we were very different characters. And, you know, I was in my mid-20s and everyone's going, oh, he's great. And da-da-da. And he was like, he was a fantastic person. And we just got into a relationship and, you know, you go through the motions and bought a house and bought a dog and, you know, all these things. And the closer I was getting to 30, the more conversations were starting around getting married. And by that point, you know, we've been together 5 years. So those conversations are happening about babies and marriage. And all my life, I had always thought I would be a mum because why would I not?
Yeah.
I'm a girl.
This is I'm
straight.
Yeah.
Why would that not be?
You're on the train.
I'm on the train. Yeah. Why would I not be? My mum is a mum. My sisters are mums. Why would I not be a mum? That was my logic. And it was very objective of just, well, I just will.
Yeah.
And then as I got closer to 30, that feeling of, oh, I'm not ready because I'm this age or whatever, was quickly becoming, oh, this isn't I'm not ready. This is I don't want to do this. Like with every fibre of my body, I don't want to do it. And like I said at the start of the recording, I am a deep thinker. So this was in my head for a while, and I was dealing with it on my own. Because, you know, and I've felt a lot of guilt about that feeling. And I felt a lot of, there's something wrong with me here, because why am I not feeling the way I should be feeling? And all my friends around me are talking about this fucking clock, and I'm like, what clock? I haven't got a clock. You know, like, yeah, I'm just like, oh no, I can't hear it. So,
I'm thinking of it, you know, Peter Pan.
Yes, that is literally how I used to think. I'd be like, I must be able to hear it. Like, why can't I hear it? And I was getting closer and closer to that. And you know, the person I was with, he wanted all that, and we had talked about it. It had been a conversation we'd had. But ultimately, that relationship also started to fall apart for different reasons. You know, we were young when we got together, and while we did a lot of our growing up together, I don't think emotionally we matured together. I think we just did the big life things, and I think that emotional maturity of talking, actually properly communicating with your partner, we didn't do that, and we didn't know to do that. Like it wasn't a thing. So the relationship started to fall apart anyway, and on top of that, I had this feeling of, regardless of this relationship falling apart for whatever reason, because we're not communicating or whatever, we don't want the same life anymore. And that really wasn't lost on me. And ultimately, I had to have a conversation with him and say, I think this is done. And that relationship unfortunately ended. At that same time, I was very much into my lifestyle overhaul. I was very...
Was that already happening then?
Yeah, that was already happening. So if I go back to kind of 2020 and that starting co&co, there was a few things happening in my life at that time. I wasn't happy in my job, and I knew I wasn't fulfilled there, and I knew that I could go somewhere else and do the same thing, but I'd be bored again in 12 months. So I had to fix that. I wasn't happy in the relationship, and I think I knew at that point it probably had an end date, and I needed to sort that. And then there was myself. I was 5 stone overweight. I was very unhealthy. You know, I'm only 5'3". I can't carry an extra 5 stone. You know, so there was those 3 things happening in my life. And my mum always says, like, just fix one thing. You might not be able to fix everything all at once, but just what can you fix right now? So started with the job, and I handed my notice in, and you know, started co&co. And then we're in COVID, right? So I'm seeing myself on video calls all the time, and I'm like, fuck me. Is that what I look like? Is that actually me? Like, it was awful. And so I need to sort this out now. So I gave my body over to a PT, and I was just like, fix this. Please fix this. But I was also fucking deluded, because I thought, I did an initial 6 weeks program with her, training once a week with her, watching what I ate, but training once a week. I genuinely thought I would get to the end of the 6 weeks and look like I do now. Yeah. Genuinely. Yeah. And I was gutted. Got to the end. I'd lost like 10 pounds in 6 weeks. Yeah. But I was like, what? Yeah. Why do I still look like this? And that was when it was like, oh shit, this is my whole life now. It's changed. So then I really got into that, and I really threw myself into it. And a bit like, you know, the regimented thing we talked about, I also have the most obsessive personality. Right. Like, I will go really like hyper obsessive over something. Yeah. And that was it. And I was doing that, and I was learning, and it was really interesting to me. And what I realised is I loved the way it was making me feel. So physically, I was changing. But mentally, oh my God, it was like someone unlocked a whole other part of my brain. And I was like, oh fuck, this is where my happiness lives. Like, I've actually found this happiness. Yeah. And I loved that, and I loved that feeling. And actually, there was a point in the relationship that was, you know, still happening at the time, where I tried to bring him along on that, because I was like, oh shit, I feel happy now. Yes. And maybe. And you're finding confidence as well, like, because it is transformational when you're pushing yourself through that. And you, like you said, it is an unlock. Yeah, massively. It is. And, you know, it was making me happier in every way. Yeah. And I did try to bring him along on that and say, look, this is really making me feel good. I know you don't feel great at the moment either. Why don't we try and do something together? And I think, again, because we weren't communicating, because we didn't have that emotional maturity to have an actual difficult conversation, he saw me as trying to change him. And I wasn't trying to change him.
No.
I was trying to pass on this happiness.
And trying to bring him along for the journey. 100%. Yeah.
But he resisted that. And in resisting that, that created a bigger problem with me and him, because he then saw it as, she's getting this whole new life. She started this business. She's changing her whole life. And I'm not part of it. And that couldn't have been further from the case. But unfortunately, because we didn't talk, but that is how that, you know, ultimately translated. So I got to that point, and then my PT was the first person I told that the relationship was done. And I used to train at 7 a.m. on a Saturday with her. It was normally just me and her in the gym. And I walked in, and you know, one of those days where like you think, if someone asks me how I am, I'm gonna fucking go. Yeah. And I walked in, and she went, "Hiya, how are you?" I just completely went, and you know, she was like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And I said, "I think my relationship is over, and I don't know how to tell him." We then spent the hour training, crying, and also her just, you know, kind of trying to help me sort through some stuff. And I trained with her on a Saturday and a Wednesday. And I have this thing where I will be accountable to everybody else. Like the thought of letting someone down in my life, I can't cope with it. I'm actually quite happy to let myself down, but not other people. And I had this thing in my head of, if I don't go home and have this conversation, I'm going to have to come back on Wednesday and say I've not done it. Yeah. So I went home, poor guy had literally just rolled out of bed. And he said, "You know, you okay?" And I said, "No, I need to talk to you." And, you know, we ultimately had that conversation. And it wasn't what he wanted. But it had to happen for both of us. And, you know, you talk about therapy there. That was something that came later for me, because in that kind of time when the relationship was ending, he asked me to go to couples therapy with him, and I was incredibly dismissive. In fact, my response was, if you need a stranger to tell you how I feel, then I will go, but that's fucking nuts to me, because I am telling you and you're not hearing me. And we went, and you know, anyone who's been in that situation, whether you're the person ending the relationship or the relationship is being ended for you, it's a horrible, horrible thing to have to do. And while I would like to think I did that with the most grace and kindness that I could, there is one moment that I will regret forever. And we were sat in the room, and the therapist is talking to both of us. And she asked me a question, and she asked me, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you would do anything for this relationship to work, and 11 being, and before she 10 being, before she finished the sentence, I said 11. And I just saw, you know, my ex-partner was a big 6'2", you know, Viking looking kind of guy. And I just saw like everything leaving. And I think about that moment now, and I feel regret for that moment, because I look back now and feel like that was cruel. But at the time, I needed him to hear me, and he wasn't hearing me, and we weren't talking. So, you know, he didn't hear what I was saying, and I needed to say something that
almost
really,
you needed to get out. It was like almost like an escape to say it in that moment, right? You're just trying to get out.
And even the therapist, after I said that, said, "Okay, I think we're probably done now with the session," and that was really difficult. But you know, again, the type of person I am, and while I was very dismissive of therapy there, it came into my life at a later date. What I have learned through that experience of therapy is that I am very good at detachment. So I can very much detach myself emotionally from a situation, and almost then have like an operational business head on. And that's how I then went through the relationship for the period of time where I had to get the house sold, had to pack it up, had to buy a new house, all of that stuff. And I just went on to autopilot. It just became a to-do list. Now, what I've also learned is that's a really unhealthy thing to do, because at some point that emotion needs dealing with, hence the therapy. But yeah, that was kind of those 3 things all happened within the space of a couple of years.
Which is a lot to be going on.
Weirdly,
like it's like pillars. Like I had as you know, went through kind of something semi-similar. And when I went to my therapist, she described it as like, you have pillars in your life, and so you'll have like your relationship pillar, your work pillar, your friends and family pillar, and like you kind of did, you have to fix pillars. But if all your pillars break at the same time.
Where do you... And it's really interesting you say that, because I'd never heard it explained that way before. But when I was talking to my therapist, I talked about 3 women, and I was talking about myself. I was talking about 3 versions, and I said, you know, there's the version of me who started co&co, and I see her as like almost this daft little kid that I'm like, look what I have to fucking deal with now because you had some idea that you were gonna, you know, go and create this business. And she just like chuckles at me. I have the version of me that lost 5 stone and really took control of her health and stuff, and I just see her as like, I actually don't think I could do that. Even though I did it, I look at her and think there's no fucking way I could do that. And yeah, I did it, but you're unbelievable. And then there was the version of me in a relationship, and that is the only version that I got really upset about. And I said, she's the only version of me that I feel like I can't sit down with and her be okay with me. And I think that is the bit that I needed to fix in order to be able to move on. And, you know, and I think because of the way that relationship ended, I think that I knew, because it was me and because of the situation and because of the people involved, you know, it wasn't lost on me the lives I was changing in that situation. Yes. And I knew that I was going to have to be the bad guy in a lot of people's stories for a while. Yeah. And I was okay with that. I think, you know, what I needed to do was ultimately end up forgiving myself for what I did. And, you know, subsequently, I had a conversation with my ex-partner, and I got the forgiveness from him as well. And I needed that. And it was only after that point where I was like, okay, like, I think I can move on now in this part of my life. But yeah, for all those things to happen at the same time was a lot. But again, I, you know, spoke to my therapist in the first session. She said, and that all happened in 2 years. And I was just like, yeah. And she was like, people come to me for one of those things. Yes. Yeah. You know, and you're coming with all 3 and just, and you're wondering why there's something wrong. Yeah. You know.
What made you go to therapy then? What was, because obviously all that did happen with 2 years, but to actually take that step and go through those doors takes a lot in itself. What was the breaking point?
So again, it was my PT. So she's great. She's so in tune with,
like
she's
she's incredible person.
I always say, like, her husband is the 3rd wheel in our relationship. I just have to deal with the fact that he's there. But she's just really in tune with me, and, you know, we have a lot of conversations about life and stuff like that. And I was going through another difficult period of time, probably about a year, 2 years maybe, after I'd moved into, no, it would have been a year after I'd left that relationship, moved into my new house and everything. And this is why, you know, I'd like now to talk about what happened after, because I think people think, oh, you did all that, you sorted it, you went to therapy, got better, and now you're fine. Like, no. A year after, I had a real low point where I can look back now and I can see that I was at burnout. And I've had this conversation with you. My ag with people that talk about burnout, and they're not talking about burnout, they're talking about stress. Yes. Burnout is a feeling of, it is unsurvivable. You do not know how you're going to survive it. It is crippling. Yes. And as somebody who needs to be in control, has always been in control of themselves, to suddenly have this feeling of, I don't know how I survive this, was terrifying to me. And it was coming up to Christmas, and my PT, again, not through any conversation really, was just like, are you okay? And I was like, I'm not. I just feel, and I was like, I can't describe it. I'm stressed. Like I throw myself into work, which was really unhealthy. But looking back now, I did that because I could control that. Yeah. I knew.
You felt like that was your safe space. I knew the rules
of that game.
Yeah.
And if I was throwing myself into that, I didn't have to deal with whatever this other feeling was that I was having. Yeah. And she just said to me, you know, it might be worth you just going and talking to someone. And they actually at the gym have a therapist, and it's talking therapy. I'd never heard of it before. And obviously my kind of opinion of therapy up to that point, and I was a bit like, who the fuck do you think you're talking to? Like, really? Have you not met me? I can deal with myself.
Like, I'll sort
I've just been through all this. You think I can't deal with feeling what I thought that time was a bit stressed? Yeah. So anyway, Christmas happened about a week later, and I had everyone at my house for Christmas, and I got to the point on Christmas Eve where it had built up so bad that I couldn't stop crying, and was so close to contacting everybody and saying, I'm really sorry, but I can't do this tomorrow. But again, because I can't let other people down, I was like, you're just going to have to fucking get through it. So I had everyone arrive, and Christmas Day, it was the most horrendous. Like, you know that scene in Love Actually where Emma Thompson goes off and cries because Alan Rickman's been a prick and bought that little cow and necklace? Team Emma Thompson's ever.
Breaks us every year.
It was like that. Like, I was having to find moments where I could go, let out this emotion and come back. But when I was coming back, I didn't speak. Like, I genuinely was like mute the whole day. It's like I was there, but I was watching.
Like what was happening, like a screen, like a scene.
100%. And I wasn't present in it. And I just got to a point where I couldn't find joy in anything. And, you know, I think people think of me as quite a positive and happy, yes, very opinionated, yes, very direct, but a happy, positive person. And I wasn't. I was an absolute fucking shell. I'd got to the smallest in terms of weight as well, not through trying, through just stress. And I look back now and I think, God, like you don't look well there. You really don't look well. And Christmas ended. And I think it was the 27th of December. Again, I couldn't get over this emotion. And I just couldn't see a way out of it. And I just did not know how I would survive this feeling, because I couldn't see myself never feeling that way. Like I just thought, this is how I am now, and I don't know how I deal with this and survive it. So I emailed the woman and I just said, listen, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I think I need to talk to somebody, and you've been recommended. So had an initial chat with her, and people say like therapists are like puppies, they should kind of pick you, like, you know, there's like a bond. And the first thing I said to her was, just so you know, this is not for me. And she went, oh, good. She said, I fucking hate therapy. And I was like,
yay.
Oh, okay, this might work. And we started, and, you know, I think what I needed to go through there was dealing with the relationship side of me. I think I needed help with that. And we didn't start by talking about that. I had to kind of warm up to it. And I think, again, because the type of person I am, and circle small, and I'll trust who I trust. I was a bit like, I'm going to wait.
There's got to be a wall coming down here at some point.
And she was really patient with me. But we talked about, you know, loads of things. And she taught me loads about myself as well, and like how I am as a person. And again, like how actually these traits are okay and they have made you how you are in certain areas. And that's a positive thing. So did that for 18 months. And then she finally broke up with me one day and just said, so given you've not really had anything to talk to me about, and it's been 6 weeks now, because I was every week. I was like, I would have gone every day if I could at the start.
For 18 months as well.
Yeah, 18 months. And, you know, kind of got to the end. She was like, so where do you want to go from here? I was like, I knew you were going to break up with me today. I just knew it. But, you know, it was good. And I know people are advocates for, I guess, a bit like how I still train, even though I'm in shape, is people still go to therapy even though they feel good. And I totally get that. For me, I wanted to know that I could do it myself and I could cope. And I'd always really struggled. It's weird, actually, that I had this kind of feeling at Christmas, because I've always really struggled with that period of time. I couldn't tell you why, but everything up to Christmas Eve I love. But from Christmas Day to like 2nd of January, I'm so sad. And I don't know why I am. I just am. But last year, so this Christmas just gone, was the first Christmas where I didn't feel like that. And that for me was such a moment of, I've really worked through a lot of shit there that must have been causing me to feel this way, because for the first time in as long as I can remember, I didn't feel that way about that period of time. I really enjoyed it. I loved it. I saw it for what it was. I still can't cope with that week between Christmas and New Year, because it's fucking chaos and there's no structure to it whatsoever.
I was going to say, surely it's something to do with structure. It is as well.
But do you know what I did this year? I put structure in.
Nice.
And again, she just taught me so much about myself.
What do you think the biggest like learnings were? What were the big things that like, this is what you've taught me that I really did not recognise before?
I think the biggest thing is how you have to be kind to yourself and give yourself grace and put things down. Like, you know, I think I carried for a number of years things from my childhood, from, you know, experiences that I had growing up, into, you know, that relationship that I was carrying that I no longer had to carry or feel responsible for. And I think just looking after me,
Yes.
and actually not having to have everybody else's interests first.
Yes.
And sometimes it's okay to make decisions for yourself that might not feel right for other people, and you need to let that go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think she just taught me that about, you know, just give yourself a fucking break.
Yeah.
But yeah, that feeling that I had at the time, oh my God, like I cannot describe it, and I would never wish that on my worst enemy, because I can understand now why people get to such a dark place.
Yeah.
Because while I was no means at the darkest place you can get to, fuck me, like I can totally see how you would get there, because that feeling of I cannot survive feeling this way was overwhelming. And that's why I struggle with people who talk about burnout.
Yes.
I think you're stressed, and stress is a privilege. Stress means that there are expectations of you. Stress means that you have responsibility, and it can be managed. It doesn't feel nice all the time, but you can manage it. Whereas burnout is a totally different game.
And I feel like burnout as a word is thrown around.
Oh, it's massively diluted now.
Yeah. Which I think for those people that do suffer with it to that extreme, it means that their voices are undervalued as a result of it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely. And look, like, you know, stress isn't nice.
No.
But it's not the same.
You can thrive in it, though.
You absolutely can, and it can teach you amazing things. You don't learn anything from burnout.
No.
There's no space to learn. It's just a dark place.
Yeah.
Whereas stress is not, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think you can really thrive. I mean, I work my best under pressure. It's when great things happen. But I guess what you need to do is recognize the difference. You know, I have been in burnout. I've been in that place where I literally can't get out of bed for days, and I'm just like, how do I do this?
Yeah.
Like, and somehow you find, you know, you manage. And I've been through therapy as well, and I've learned some tactics, not enough, but that's another conversation. But I do totally hear you when you kind of say the difference between the two, and I guess it's how you as a person are able to acknowledge that.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
So it's been over a year now since you've been out of therapy?
It'll be a year in April. Yeah.
A year in April. So how are you feeling kind of now?
I think I'm probably the happiest version of myself that I've ever been, I would say. I think, you know, a bit like I was saying at the start, I'm really confident and clear in what the business is. I feel that about myself as well. And I'm more sure of what I want and what I deserve and what I can bring as well. But yeah, as a headspace, as a, you know, just generally, this is the best place I've been in for a really long time, I would say. And I'm like, you know, I couldn't find the joy in anything at one point. Yeah. Whereas now I feel the complete opposite to that. Like I just, feel really good.
Good. One thing I do want to pick on that we kind of touched on briefly there is your decision to be child-free by choice. And you kind of explained that did grow as a result of kind of understanding that relationship. How has that, since kind of ending that relationship, almost cemented more for you? Because I think society kind of can really struggle when we as women do say that we don't want children. So I guess since leaving that relationship and kind of cementing that in your own mind, like what's that look like, and how have people related to that when you've had the conversations with them?
Oh, related to it is a interesting conversation, because most people just don't fucking believe you.
Yeah.
People's response is generally, you've not met the right person, or you'll feel different when it's yours. Which, first of all, I think is like quite rude, because what if I have met the right person and we just don't want to have a kid? But also, just the fact that, look, it doesn't bother me. I don't care. If someone wants to say, oh, why have you made that choice? I'll tell you. But imagine if I turn around to someone with a child and going, oh, why have you done that?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you'll regret that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it would be so like not okay.
Yeah. Literally pointing out. Like,
yeah, like you don't know whether he's going to be a wanker or not, do you? Like that's the roll of the dice. So I guess in terms of that, it's kind of water off a duck's back. I don't mind. I don't expect everyone to understand it. No one else has to live my life, so I don't really care. But I think that, you know, the how does that look now? For me, I see it as a really positive thing because, you know, that clock I don't have.
Yeah.
And I don't have any kind of time limit on myself of finding the right partner or, you know, I'm 36 now. I would rather meet someone now and it have taken me 10 years to meet that right person than have settled at 26
and try
and
and
then think,
it.
is this what my life is?
Yeah.
You know, I know people in relationships who are not happy but can't get out for one reason or another, which, you know, I have thoughts on as well. But I think that I don't have this time thing that other women might have who are also single at 36 but want to have a family. And, you know, I have friends like that and I fucking feel for them because I can't imagine wanting something so badly and not being able to just make that happen. And, you know, I'm talking about really fucking smart, switched on women. They're not just going to go and shag someone to have a kid. And, you know, it's not that. And I think that because of that, I just have loads of time. That's how I see it. And it means that I can really focus on, okay, what do I want this to look like then? And I think some people can think, oh, you don't want kids, you hate kids. The two things do not equate. Like that could not be further from the truth. I absolutely don't hate kids. Like I have two nieces in my life who think I'm absolutely amazing and I think they're incredible. And, you know, I love spending time with them. And I've got friends who've got children and, you know, I adore them. And it's nothing to do with that. It's just a choice that I don't want to have my own child.
Yes.
And it's no deeper than that. It's just I don't want to do that thing. And listen, if you do, fucking have all the babies. Like, do it. Like, absolutely do it. But I think if you're not sure, don't do it.
Yeah.
Because what a selfish thing to do, to roll the dice on someone else's life that none of us have asked to be here, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So it's a really selfish thing to do, I think. And it's just not something that I want. And I think there's part of me that, you know, whatever I do, I want to be the best at, no matter what I do. So if I was going to be a mum, I know I would want to be the fucking best, which means I wouldn't want to work.
Yes.
I would want to be there 100% of the time with my child. I don't want that enough to have that as my life.
Yeah.
And there are other things I want more than that. And, you know, as it stands, that is everything else in my life.
Yeah.
So it's not I hate children or, you know, it's not an environmental thing. It's not the world's in a fucking shit state. It's not that. It's just, I don't have the feeling inside me that I want to create a baby. That doesn't mean I don't want children in my life. If I met someone who had children, I actually think that'd be really good for me.
Yeah.
I think that I've got an opportunity there to be a really good role model to children that is different to other people that they might have around them.
Yes.
But as a choice, no, it's something that I'm pretty set on.
And in terms of going back to what we were saying before regarding, I guess, hearing these voices from women, I think as well, is like there's not enough people in society that almost explain it like you have just done, right? Because I think for young women it's more, there's options, you've got options available to you. You don't have to go down that one route. You've got these options available, and in hearing voices like yourself, in being able to hear that, I think will help support women and men as well. Like it's the same with men. You
100%.
don't have to have children if you don't want to. Like, absolutely fine.
Yeah, and options is a really, like, good way of thinking about it. And, you know, I talked before about I've got a number of young women that work for me that are in their 20s, and I feel a huge responsibility to them to be able to pass on what I've learned,
Yes.
you know, and not in a preachy way, but just in a, listen, as someone who's been through it, here's what I know kind of thing. And options is something I always talk to them about. And, you know, for me, my advice to those young women is don't see your career as an option. Don't create a cage for yourself that you need to be saved from. Don't see it as a plan B. Don't see it as a stopgap. Really start fucking carving out the life for yourself that you want. Because whether you like it or not, you might be the one that's providing it for the rest of your life. So step up for yourself. Give yourself options. With that comes a level of financial independence in that, you know, financial freedom and financial independence are totally different. Everyone wants financial freedom. Unfortunately, not everyone will get there. But financial independence is something else. And, you know, when I was able to leave my partner because I was financially independent in that I could walk away. And what I say to them is, by having your own financial independence, what it means is you can make every decision in your life based on what you want to do and not what you have to do. Therefore, if you are in a relationship that you don't want to be in anymore for whatever reason, and, you know, I'm just talking about the fact you might fall out of love with someone, there could be fucking horrendous reasons that you don't want to be in that relationship. If you are financially independent, you will be able to ask yourself every day, do I want to be here or do I have to be here? If the answer is you have to be there, get yourself to a point where you can choose. If your question every day is, do I want to be here? Then, you know, fucking hell, we've all been there. Sometimes you ask yourself that question every fucking day. Sometimes you ask it every hour. But, you know, like you have to be in a position where you can make those decisions for yourself, and it just gives you clarity. You know,
and it's better for you as well to be able to confidently say that 100%. To yourself every day, every hour.
And going back to what we were saying before about, you know, women want partners, not providers. You have a fucking obligation to be a partner as well. So you best be taking your best self into a relationship. You can't sit there and have this wish list of this amazing guy and yet you bring nothing. What the fuck is that? Do you know what I mean?
True.
And it doesn't, and when I say what you bring, that doesn't also have to be equal on both sides of the table. The reality is one of you is probably going to earn more money than the other. One of you is going to be more compassionate than the other. One of you is going to be really good at DIY and the other isn't. One of you is going to be really good at problem solving. Like, what are the two sides of the table that you're bringing together? I'm in a situation where the likelihood is I'm going to meet a partner that I probably do earn more money than. That's not a problem to me.
No.
And for the right person, it won't be a problem to them either. But they're going to bring something, you know, they're going to be able to give me the comfort and the love and that security and stability of a home that I really want. That is what I'm looking for, you know, in somebody. So, but you can't have your wish list of things if you are not also bringing something to the table.
Love it. We're going to switch. We're going to switch gears now.
Oh, God.
We're going to go back to business now. This is good. This is good. I'm so excited to talk to you about business as well, because as a fellow marketing hun, you know, I think you bring so much kind of knowledge and wealth and value in this space. So in terms of co&co, obviously it's a marketing agency, and marketing, I guess, is so broad in terms of what it is, especially now, you know, I was thinking the last 5 years, like it's just completely changed. So for you right now, or you and co&co right now, what is great marketing? What does that look like to you right now?
So for me, great marketing is now really about experience and value. And what I mean by that is, I think and again, I've talked about this recently, is I think we're coming to a bit of a full circle moment where we live in a digital age. Everything is online. Relationships are online, you know, and now to the degree that people are actually in America, they have these restaurants that are set up for AI relationships. So if you're in a relationship with an AI, you can go on your date with your AI boyfriend or girlfriend, and they are there at the table with you. Like, we've gone way too far, in my opinion, and I just think that opens us up to a bigger fucking can of worms than Andrew Tate could ever even imagine. However, that's currently where we are in some parts of the world. But I think on the other side of that, I think we're having a real resurgence in offline connection, human whatever it is.
Yes.
And and we're seeing it in the stats. We're seeing that users on dating apps are down. The number of people that want to go and physically touch and feel brands is up. We've got people again in America who are university students who are saying that they're calling for essays and things now to be handwritten because they don't want to peer review stuff that is AI slop.
Yeah.
So I think we're really having a bit of a renaissance when it comes to that. And it's not a surprise, right? Because these people that are driving that movement are people that have only ever... I mean, look, I'm old enough to know when you had to turn the internet on, wait 15 minutes and get on MSN, and you could only use it after 6, otherwise your mum would go mad. And God forbid someone wanted to use the house phone at the same time. But, I can remember that. And I think that's a really unique part of history to be in, because you almost sit across two technological eras. Whereas now... anyone born from the year 2000. So we're getting on to people that are coming up to their 30s now. Like, we're talking about proper grown-ups, not talking about teenagers. Yeah. They have only ever known the world that we're in. They've only ever known social media as a window into the world, which is fucked in itself. And actually, they are the ones calling out for this experience, for this connection, for being around other people. And I am all here for it. There's all this talk at the moment as well about the ban on under 16-year-olds on social media. I'm here for it. And actually, I would say 18. It terrifies me what is available out there for young people to consume. And why that worries me so much is not necessarily that it's out there, because it's always been out there. It's how easy it is to access. It's how the algorithms, depending on the content you watch, shape your perception of the world. And, for people like me, I think we have a bit of context as to we understand that, because unfortunately we're also the people who created it. Yeah. But if you're not, I think that is terrifying. Yeah. And I don't think at that age you are mentally mature enough to understand that isn't real. Yeah.
Definitely. You're so influenced by it, and you're too young to be able to decipher actually what's real, what's not.
And the way that I've kind of talked about it before is, when I was 15, I could go into the local shop, I could go and look at the newspaper and magazine rack, and I could see 10 different newspaper front covers. That would give me 10 different perspectives based on 10 different demographics of the country in a snapshot. Yeah. That doesn't happen now. No. Because the algorithm will feed you what you ask for. Yes. And the more you just show a genuine objective interest in something, the more it's going to feed that. And that is not good. And I think that there is a responsibility as well for these platforms to not shape their algorithms like that. However, they're not going to do that. So I think that there does have to be some governance put in. And for me, I would ban it all for under 18s, absolutely. And I say that as someone running a marketing company.
I think, and that's the interesting bit. It's like,
But I have a moral compass.
Yeah, exactly. But to that point, I think we as marketers, we as people that work in advertising, etc., on social media, we have that responsibility.
We absolutely do.
And you have to take that seriously. And now more than ever. And I feel like, there will continue to be businesses that don't do that, sadly. But I'm completely with you in terms of that, what we're seeing in the landscape in terms of the return to human, the return to in-person experiences. And I think whether or not, again, people will try and make money off that fact, I'm sure they will, but if they're doing it from a good place, then that, I think, is a positive.
It's like anything, right? Like, any opportunity provides opportunity on both sides of the divide. There is always somebody who is out to make money for bad reasons, and they will find it. But there are also people out there who are good people, and I'd like to think we live in a world where the majority of people are decent human beings. But we're never going to get away from the fact that a small minority, but the opportunity exists. So again, you can't really blame them. That is just the opportunity that exists. And it's like everything, you know, regulation always follows foul, doesn't it? So something bad will happen and then regulation has to come in place, because you don't know it needs regulated until something happens. And I think that's where we are at the moment with social media. I think we are hopefully now understanding that, you know, the long-term effects are massive, and we have a responsibility as society to look after young people. And it goes back to what we were saying before, creating good human beings, making sure the foundations are right. You know, you are still forming as a person. Your brain is so delicate still, fragile, that we can't just let that be fed with crap. We can't as a society if we want to produce good humans down the line.
It was interesting. I picked up before that you said you don't go on TikTok. And I don't go on TikTok either, because I just think...
I have TikTok for co&co, and I have it on my phone, but I don't go on it.
No.
If I could not be on social media, I would choose not to be on social media.
Isn't it funny? Like, as marketeers, like, I'm the same. The fact that I almost have to spend so much time on it makes me sad inside, but I have to.
Yeah, but it's interesting, isn't it? There's that documentary about the people who create like Facebook and stuff, and it's really interesting what they say, in that they don't allow their children to have social media, and I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah, massively.
You know, again, I don't have children, but my nieces, I am very much like, don't fucking look at that. Like, don't. It's not... If you want to go on TikTok, you can go on my phone. Like, my algorithm isn't gonna hurt you. But I think the more you know and the more you see behind the curtain, the more aware you are of how bad those worlds can be.
So what do you think like hasn't really changed in the grand scheme of things when it comes to marketing?
I think, again, I think it's connection. I think that good marketing is all based around connection. Ultimately, marketing is getting people to give you money for something that they probably don't need, with money they probably don't have, time and time again. That's literally the aim of the game. Whether you like it or not, that is the game. And the only way you do that is by creating connection. And that, for me, you know, has gone through, and as I say, we're going through that kind of cycle of it again, of how do you deliver it? That human connection. And this is kind of like one of my things with AI, why I think we don't really need to be worried about AI taking all of our jobs, is you cannot fake or manufacture human connection. It is either there or it's not. Take the Oasis takeover of Manchester last year, which was fucking class.
Insane. That was a masterclass. When we're not
marketing. Filming, I will tell you what I paid for my tickets, because I tell you what, I was... Honest to God, I was like, I'm going to.
Yeah. We were at the opening one in Cardiff.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
It was just the most, like, what a masterclass in connection, though.
Yeah. Yes.
Like,
100%.
absolutely. Like, that brought people together
in a
totally different way.
Yeah.
And the way that Manchester was overtaken for 10 days while they were up here doing their shows, you can't manufacture that. So, yes, you can, objectively, go and create a song using AI, a fake band. You can make them all look gorgeous. You can, you know... The reality is, yes, we like Oasis because we like the songs, but take the songs out of it. What we love is the brand.
Yes.
What we love is who they are. What we love is the story.
Yeah.
We love the fact that we never know whether they're getting on or not. We love where they came from. We love that they love Manchester. So that doesn't exist if you create it in a vacuum in AI.
So true.
So I think that human connection is it's the story. It's the storytelling. And this is what I always tell the team. We are telling stories. Yes, we are telling it for the purpose of, we want someone to buy this, or we want someone to do this. But we are telling them a story of why to do it. Yeah. And I think that, for me, is the thing that, to do good marketing, you have to hold on to that. You have to, you know, I always say the best heads of marketing directors are the best frontmen. They are the ones that can tell a story, because, you know, take that to a commercial kind of viewpoint. Often, and I've been the head of marketing in these roles, you're not doing marketing. No. You're not doing the gorgeous stuff that you see going out on socials or billboards or whatever. What you're doing is in rooms with finance people and operational people, convincing them to give you money for something that they probably don't think they need, that is completely intangible. You have no idea if it's going to work, but you have to convince them. That is the story you're telling. And that's why I think the best marketeers are the best frontmen. They are the Liams. They are the ones that can get up there. They can sing the song. They can fucking blow everyone's socks off, but everyone else delivers it.
100%. Love that. Love it. So with you. Amazing. I love that you brought it back to Oasis, because I was like, I remember putting a LinkedIn post being like, this is just a masterclass in marketing.
It is.
It was
absolutely is
unbelievable what they did and what they achieved. And like you say, like how you felt, you just felt like you were part of something that was massive.
Absolutely.
And it really felt like a moment in time for connection.
I say to people, I will never ever in my life see or feel anything like that again.
I totally agree.
It was just
unbelievable.
it was unbelievable.
So you've mentioned AI there. What do you feel like AI is overhyped? Like what's overhyped in marketing in terms of?
I don't feel like it's overhyped. I feel like the threat of it is overhyped. So I think there is a place for AI. Definitely. I was recently at an event actually, which was all about AI in kind of content creation. And I think that's where people kind of feel the threat is most, is around content creation, whether that be written, whether that be visual, the technical side of it. There are loads of things that AI can do for you to make your life easier and your job easier and you more efficient. But you have to feed it. The human has to feed it. And I do think there is a role in it. We use it within the business, but it doesn't. Nothing goes into it that hasn't come from a human, and nothing comes out of it that isn't checked by a human. So I don't think we're at a point where the robots are coming. I think that if you do take it to the extreme, and there are some people out there who are trying it, and whatever, let's see where the chips fall. But there are agencies out there who are getting rid of the junior level creatives because they're saying, well, we can get AI to do it. Okay, you can. But let's fast forward. If we get rid of all the junior creatives, who feeds middleweight creative?
Exactly.
Who feeds creative director? How do you create the funnel of talent that we have if you're using AI? So there's that. There's also the point of AI will allow you to produce something to a level, but again, it can only take what you feed it. And, I think all those little models we all did of ourselves is kind of testament to, and I remember doing a post about it and saying, here is the first thing AI chucked out of my model, and here is where it landed. The number of prompts I had to give it between A and B to get to this. This is why I know we're okay. This is why I know we're safe, because actually this took fucking way longer than it should to get to the model that I shared. But here's the first thing it gave me. But, there will be people out there who are happy with the first version that AI spits out. But again, to use an analogy that I've used before, for me, it's a bit like if you want a bookcase, you can go to IKEA and you can buy a Billy bookcase. There is nothing wrong with that bookcase. It will hold your books fine. It is mass produced around the world. It looks no different to the next one. There's nothing special about it, but it does a job. That to me is the AI version of creative. On the other side, you could go to a master craftsman who has been building bookcases out of one piece of oak for 50 years. It's going to cost you more. It's going to take longer. It will be exactly as you want it. It will be to the dimensions that fit your house. It will have a story behind it, and it will be a talking piece, and it will live longer. That to me is the human version.
Yes.
Both can exist, and there is a market for both. But IKEA Billy bookcases are never going to be the master craftsman, and the master craftsman is never going to be IKEA Billy bookcase. So I think we need to all just chill out a bit on the AI side of things. I don't think it's coming for us. I think there's a role for it. I think there is definitely value it can add. We, as I say, we've seen it ourselves in our business.
Where do you kind of think it best works then within your business?
Efficiency.
Yeah.
So let's take content creation, for example. For me to sit there, or for anyone in the team to sit there and come up with a month's worth of LinkedIn posts for any person is going to take a while, right? with AI, you can say, right, I want to create 10 posts about X on LinkedIn. And it will give you all of that because it is taking from all the sources that you don't have. Now, you have access to all those sources.
Yeah.
But for you to go and find that information yourself is going to take way longer. So from an efficiency perspective, absolutely, it can do that. But again, you have to give it a certain level of prompt in order for it. You can't just put in something generic.
And you have to vet that, like you say, and like go back to 100%. It and edit and go back.
And I think one of the things that people don't understand about AI and GPTs is that they are built to please us. So actually, the best thing you can say to a GPT is, what's wrong with this piece of content?
Yeah, give me feedback.
Because it wants to please you. Yeah. So it wants to tell you there's something wrong. So it will say, this bit's a bit vague, this bit doesn't make sense, this isn't written correctly. Whereas if you go, is this a good piece of content? It will go, yes, it is.
Beautiful. Best thing you've ever written.
So you have to almost try and catch it out. And, you know, I think there is a role. I think it's an efficiency role. I don't think it should be replacing humans. But
yeah, I agree, and I think it's how people kind of adapt to it. And like you say, like it's going to give you efficiency gains. So what are you doing with that time that it does give you back? And then 100%. How does that move you or your business forward? Because actually that's the game changer.
100%.
And that's the exciting part about it. So rather than looking at it as this like demon thing that's coming, it's like, no, what can that allow you to do in order to move you forward? Like, you know, this podcast, there is no way I would be where I am with it if it wasn't for like AI as a support. But I feed it, I work with it, I ask it to rip me apart, like, you know, in terms of what I'm doing and what I'm putting out there, so that it's still me. It's still 100%. Me that's like the human entity behind all this, but I'm able to move more.
But you have to feed it this.
Yeah, of course.
You know, you couldn't sit me in front of a robot and get it to ask me the questions and get the same rapport, responses. You know, you'd get a version of, but it wouldn't be human.
So in terms of like you as a kind of business owner, and I guess coming back to like your team and you know, the juniors kind of looking in this space, what would your advice be to someone that's interested in marketing, be them in school, be them coming out of university?
I know what you're getting at.
I'll come there in a minute. But what is your advice for someone that's just potentially interested in marketing at this time?
What would my advice be, without stepping on the toes of the question that I know you're going to ask me next? Be curious, but that's to anybody. Like, don't lose that curiosity. Don't feel like you have to understand everything. You don't, and you won't.
Almost especially today, because there's just so much.
100%. Like, you know, it changes constantly. But just enjoy it for what it is. Don't put a ceiling on yourself. Don't kind of have expectations of anything either, because it will all change on the head of a penny.
By the day.
Literally by the day. But yeah, just, you know, it's a great industry to be in. It's a great industry to be a part of. We do have a lot of potential to be the good guys. As we said before, there's a lot of potential to be the bad guy as well, but you do have the opportunity to be somebody that can affect good change by being in this industry. It's incredibly creative. It teaches you so much about people, and you know. And I was having this conversation yesterday on the panel, in that the subjects that I studied at school and at my A levels were, yes, very artistic on one hand. I did art and I did textiles and I did media, but on the other hand, I also did psychology and sociology and history, and all of those subjects, they're all about people. And the two together is marketing. That is it.
So true.
So, you know, you will not understand marketing if all you do is go on TikTok. There is more to do with people than there is to do with the thing you see. The thing you see is affected by people. And you have to remember that. You have to understand people in order to do good marketing.
Yeah, totally.
Right, ask me what you want. I know what you want to ask me.
So, I was going to ask you that as a business owner, we have a responsibility to support the younger generation. One of the things that happened to you, was it last year?
Year before last now,
Year
yeah.
before last. So you were very open and honest about the fact that you would not hire graduates coming into co&co straight out of uni, which got some, heat, let's say, on it.
Got pretty hot there.
Yeah, it did. for a little minute there.
I got his notification. You've been mentioned alongside Sky News and The Telegraph. And I was like, oh shit.
Crap.
What's this?
What happened?
So, basically, I put a post out there on LinkedIn that said, as you said, we are no longer going to take people into entry-level positions straight from university.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is, and again, I said it at the time, this is nothing to do with the graduates.
Yeah.
This is all to do with the universities. Universities now are charging upwards of £100,000 a year to be able to go and study.
It's absolutely mental.
It is disgusting. The value that people are getting for that is not there, in my opinion. You cannot, in my opinion, set a course for 3 years on something like marketing that is not reviewed, peer reviewed, industry reviewed, at least every 6 to 12 months and call that value.
Yeah.
What you are learning today, I stand by this, will be irrelevant in 12 months. In 3 years when you graduate and have to pay your money back, it's fucking archaic. So that's my issue. Universities are not producing what business and industry needs.
Yeah.
So that was my line. We will absolutely employ someone that's been to university, but you cannot come and cut your teeth with us because you don't offer me enough value. There are bad habits that need to get out of you. The book that you read that tells you know everything about marketing needs to come out of you. Yeah. Then we can have a chat.
Yeah.
However, there is a huge, huge opportunity in this country for apprentices who, that you have to stay in school or some form of education now till 18.
Yeah.
When you come out of there at the age you would be going to university, the option now to go and do an apprenticeship. And look, you could do apprenticeships when I was at school, but it was to be a brickie, an electrician, a plumber. They were vocational courses.
It almost just wasn't
beauty.
Encouraged,
it wasn't. There was no business type apprentices, as I would call them now. And now there are, and they're really fucking good. So I just said, we're not doing it. We're going to invest in apprentices now. And we are going to bring in young people that want to learn. They have the right work ethic. They want to graft. They want to earn money and they can add value. Now, listen, I won't sit here and say that I'm doing this out of the fucking goodness of my own heart. They're also like a new box of Play-Doh. Yeah. You can completely mould them into what you want. And that is great for you as a business. Yeah. Because you get to build somebody who reflects what you need, not what the broad landscape needs. Yeah. So I said that, and half the people thought I was a pioneer trailblazer and half the people wanted to burn me at the stake. Fine. Just another day in my world. But I doubled down on it and we hired our first apprentice not long after that. She has now been nominated for a number of apprentice awards this year. We've been nominated for a number of the apprentice awards this year. She was nominated as Northwest Young Professional of the Year, Apprentice of the Year last year. She is incredibly valuable to the business. She is learning more than she would ever learn. And actually, one of her best friends started uni she started in September. One of her friends that she'd gone to college with started university the same month in marketing. And I said to her, whatever happens to you over these 3 years, when you're done in these 3 years and your friend is done and graduated, you will be more valuable to this industry than she will. Yeah. Because you will have been in it for 3 years. Yeah. You also would have earned a shitload of money that she's not got. And she will be having to start where you are now. Yeah. You've made the right decision here. So if I could go, and listen, I went to uni, I did everything you were meant to do. I got the first, I got the awards, I got the job, I did it all that you should do. If I could go back now, I would not go to university. I would do the apprenticeship and I would go and find somewhere like co&co that wants to invest, wants to incubate, wants to take the responsibility. Because, people have said to me, oh, it's just a cheap option. Well, first of all, it's not, because we don't pay apprenticeship wages. We pay proper wages. Because I think, well, you're doing a proper job. Yeah, you've got to respect, you respect their time. 100%. So we pay proper wages, but the time side of it that I have to invest in these people is massive.
Yeah.
Because they know nothing.
Beyond, yeah, exactly.
So yes, you have the payoff of they're completely mouldable, but you have to do the moulding. You have to teach, you have to take your time.
And it is a gamble as well. Like, I really feel like it is, because, you know, you don't, albeit, yes, someone can be good in an interview and in that kind of space, but you don't know what you're actually going to get. They are so fresh, like out of school.
And also, you know, especially with what we do, people see the end result of what we do and they go, fucking hell, that's cool, I want to do that, or I want to produce that. The reality is, by the time that thing happens and goes out, I am so fucking sick of talking about it. It looks nothing like the original plan. It's been through several variations and it's not interesting anymore. Getting people to understand that is hard. And, you know, I said before, we've made a couple of mistakes where people haven't grasped that and then not been able to cope with it. So it is a gamble, but when it pays off, it really fucking pays off. So yeah, that is my take on the whole grads and apprentice. And look, there are brilliant grads out there, you know, but they are the exception and not the rule, is what I would say. And, you know, they are being done a disservice by universities, in my opinion. And I've sat on panels and advised universities on, this is what you should be teaching, this is what people need to know. But you do it once and then you go back in 3 years. When really, every 6 or 12 months, that should be getting reviewed.
Definitely, you couldn't agree with you more. Like, it's so interesting. Like, so I went to uni, but I did law at university.
Right.
Everything that I've learned in my career, and I was, you know, group exec, head of marketing from my last company, community engagement manager now. Everything that I've learned from my career, I have learned since the day I left university. And I've learned through starting at the bottom, starting as an operations assistant and moving my way up. And nothing can compare to that.
It's a bit like learning to drive. You don't learn to drive until you pass your test. Do you?
Like, so true.
You don't. No. You don't. You learn how to pass the test. At uni, you learn how to pass the exam. Then you learn how to do marketing, or you learn how to drive.
Definitely. So from a kind of business owner perspective, like in terms of the responsibility on your shoulders as a business owner to this younger generation, kind of what would you advise other business owners in that space?
Do it would be my overall advice, because what you get out is massive, but it totally depends on what you put in. Don't get an apprentice if you aren't planning on giving them a job past the apprenticeship, because this is the other thing, is that, you know, and we're by no means a massive business, but there are huge businesses, blue chip businesses out there that get all these levies for apprentices. So they bring in 100 apprentices every year with the knowledge that there is no job for these people at the end of it. And I that just doesn't sit right with me, because if there was a job for them for 18 months while they're doing the apprenticeship, how the fuck is there not a job for them? I think personally, and again, this is, you know, regulation follows foul, I think if you take for an apprentice on, a number of apprentices, let's say you take 100, I think you should have an obligation to guarantee 75% of them a job at the end of it, or whatever. There has to be some obligation on that business to continue to put the effort into those people when it is no longer financially beneficial to you. So I would say do it, but do it with the right head on. Don't do it because you think it's cheap labour. Don't do it if you think that it's just going to get you some money off the government. Don't do it if you have no intention of giving these people a career past the 18 months, because that is so unfair. It's
and again,
so
it comes
unfair.
back to that duty of care point, doesn't it? Because again, these are young people. They can be moulded, but they can also be influenced, and that can actually
100%.
Really affect them. If you're then being like, right, thanks, bye. Like, what? Like, totally. And coming back to the kind of what we were saying kind of throughout, like, you know, you mentioned you've got a couple of young girls in your team as well, which again is like such a responsibility, kind of bringing everything.
For someone who never wanted kids, I've got 2 of them.
That's what I always say. How do you think that shifts from a personal perspective to a business perspective? Because I think the two are very different, kind of, in a way, like
in terms of my influence over them.
Do you feel
so? They are very different. However, I think anyone that works for me would say that my line between professional and personal is at best blurred.
Right.
In reality, probably not there. Because of how I am, I think, as a person, very honest, very direct. I can't really be any other way. So, you know, yes, I am in charge of these people. However, I don't want there, right or wrong, there to be this hard boundary between me just being another fucking person on this planet that you can come to for stuff. So it is very open. It is very honest. I think some people might think, fucking hell, that line is too blurred in your workplace, but it works for us. And what that has done in being that way is the culture that we have at co&co is unreal. People, you know, ask us about like work from home policy and stuff like that. We don't have one. What we have is FOMO. Like people don't want to not be there. Like we have a group chat that is going off constantly. We've had 2 on annual leave this week. It's been flooded with holiday pictures. You know, we have a really great culture. And the reason that I'm so sure of that is your culture in any business, and anyone can apply this to any of their businesses, is not what happens in the office Monday to Friday, no matter how good that might be. Your culture is how your team feel at 7 o'clock on a Sunday night. If they are sat there at 7 o'clock on a Sunday night, buzzing that they get to be with these people again tomorrow, no matter what the week might look like, no matter how busy it might be or stressful it's going to be, if they are sat there looking forward to that, you fucking nailed your culture. If they are sat there thinking, I cannot believe I have to go back there tomorrow, or I'm dreading it, or I have to tell this person this thing and I'm really scared, you fucked.
Yeah.
You absolutely fucked. So in creating that kind of less boundary-led environment, you can still have respect and have softer boundaries. There is nobody in my team that does not respect me. But because I'm very honest with them about things, and you know, I'm not talking about the business side of things, they don't need to know that. Again, it comes back to that you've not decided to do this, you don't have to be worried about these things. But you know, they'll stress about things and I say, listen, if it's not keeping me up, it certainly shouldn't be keeping you up. Like, don't worry about it. You know, and I'll tell them it could be stressing out about something or other, and I'll go, we don't operate on small children. Like, nobody's going to die.
No one's going to die.
Okay?
Yeah.
Might be a bit of shit we've got to clean up.
Yeah.
But no one's going to die.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. And I think by being that way, what you're doing is you're building trust, you're earning loyalty. I say to them all the time, I have fucked working life for you because you will think everywhere is like this. And it's not.
No.
However, I've worked in the places that aren't like this. And when I decided co&co was going to be a proper business, my one thing was, I want to create the kind of business that I wish I'd worked in at times.
Yeah.
And that was my number one goal. And, you know, they don't have to work in a shit environment now because I have, and I've taken the learnings and I've created something different. So yeah, there isn't really that boundary between the two, but I think that's a positive thing in how, you know, what I get out of people. I know my team, if I said to them all tomorrow, we all have to be at work at 6 o'clock tomorrow because this has happened and they would all be there, you know, like, and that's great. But I've built that and I've earned that through how I've decided to run that business.
Yeah, I think, and I think that's so refreshing because I feel like a lot of managers at times feel like they have to be this type of person in work, this type of person outside of work. And I just don't think that works because you are who you are.
Yeah.
I think there's needing to have professionalism.
Yeah.
And like you've just said, like in terms of like protecting like certain business aspects from them, they don't need to know that. But that's just you kind of having the business
It's interesting that point you make because I absolutely believe that. But how I am with my team is how I am with my friends and family.
Yeah.
How I am with my clients is kind of like how I am with my friends and family, but there is a firm line there.
Yeah.
And for me, when I go home, and this kind of comes back to that, you know, the kind of partner that you want and what you're looking for. Yes, between the hours of 8:30 and 4:30, I am running a business and I'm in charge of everything that is happening there. Every decision lands at my feet. Anyone could ask me a question. I have to know the answer.
Yeah.
There is a certain way I have to be in that environment. When I come home, I do not want to be that person.
So good.
I want to be able to leave all of that at the door and I just want to come home and be jawed.
Yeah.
And I just want to put my jammies on. I want to do my skincare I want to have a cuddle, and I don't want to have to be. And this is another misconception. You were kind of saying at the start about, you know, how do people kind of take you and stuff. And I think from a perspective of, you know, a partner, I think previously I've had to be the work version of me at home as well.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in charge of everything.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to be masculine at the end of the day. And, you know, I don't want to have to come home and run that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%.
So I think that how I am with my team is much closer to how I am at home. Whereas actually with clients, yes, there has to be a friendship, but a softer way of being. But there is a fucking hard line that I will put down because I have to.
Yes.
But that isn't what I want to bring home with me. I want to be a totally different person, at home.
Yeah. Nice. No, I just agree. I do think, like you're saying, like how you are with your team and how I think about how I've been with my team. I think some people at times have been like, oh, you're a bit close to them. I'm like, but I'm a person. I'm still a human. I have all the shit that they've got going on at home. And if they think that I'm just like this super strong person that can do it all the time, they're not going to relate. They're going to
see less in themselves because they're going to think, well, I can't cope because you absolutely can cope. Like some days you'll cope better than others.
Yeah.
Some days you might not cope at all, but that's also okay.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's okay.
Exactly.
And this again is like one of my issues with feminism. I think it's just gone to a point where we have to present as strong and in control and in charge, and anything other than that is seen as emotional. It's not. It's fucking human. It is just human. The same way that, you know, it should be okay for a man to go, fuck me, I'm having a really hard day.
Yeah.
And no one should think of that as weak.
Yeah.
That is just being a human being
and
feeling. Like we're all emotional beings. And, you know, again, it comes back to that. If we're taught that at a younger age, if we're taught to be okay with feelings and understand emotions, people get really worried about being upset or sad, but you'd never get worried or upset about being excited, or you know, you'd never be like, oh shit, what if I get excited? Like you just would be, because it's positive. But you only know that that's excitement because you know what sadness is. So you have to take both. You can't, you know, have
definitely
it all one way.
Yeah. So we've talked about so much stuff. It's been fun, wasn't it? I really enjoyed it. So bringing it back to like the right now.
Yeah.
Jordan, right now.
Yeah.
What is like lighting your fire right now?
Yeah.
What also still feels like a bit maybe unresolved or you're exploring?
So I'd say what's lighting my fire is definitely where co&co is at the moment. It just feels in such a good place, and we moved offices at the end of last year, and we're in just a space that is so much more reflective of us, and you know, it just works for us. We're completely self-contained now, and it really is just all the girls will say, because again, I only employ women, not through kind of any plan. It's just that's kind of how it's happened, and now I really like that, and I'm like, oh, I'm kind of creating this little like powerhouse here, and I'm not mad about it. But again, not like, oh, I'm going to create a female business. I just have, like, you know, it's happened. So yeah, we're in this space that we love, and the girls will say like, oh, I'm just heading home, and they mean they're coming to the office, or they'll go, oh, we got that at home or whatever. And I think that's really sweet that they think of it like that. In fact, the apprentice I was telling you about before, she in September last year, after she'd done her first year, she'd just come into the end of her apprenticeship now, her mum like wrote me a card, and, you know, basically said like, you're the best co-parent I could ever ask for, and she gave me a card and a little gift, and you know, didn't expect any of that. But again, that was one of those things where I'm like, I'm doing the right thing here. Like I'm really,
you're making a difference.
And I'm doing it in a way that I can do it, and that this young girl sees an opportunity for herself now, because we've made that happen, and she's made that happen as well. So that was really lovely to get that. But yeah, we're in this great space, and we absolutely love it. So that feels really good. I think for me, you know, the relationship side is now the thing that I'm like, right, I'm really ready now. And I think that comes from a place of, I've done all the work on myself, and you know, I think over the last couple of years, I've explored relationships with people and they haven't worked. And I don't think they've worked because I think that I haven't been resolved, you know, in myself. Whereas now I feel very content in myself. Like I said, you know, I'm probably the happiest that I've ever been for a really, really long time. And that doesn't feel like a spike of happiness. It feels like, like there's joy in my life, which again, going back to that feeling of not feeling any joy to now really feeling happy and light and positive. And I've not felt that way fully for probably those 2 years. Now I do. And now I feel like, okay, I'm at a point now where I'm ready now to step into that bit and have that bit be kind of the final bit there,
like
final
almost
piece to my puzzle.
Ready to like open yourself up to that because you found the happiness and the joy in yourself. And like you feel like you understand yourself.
That's exactly it
now.
Yeah,
right?
I completely know who I am.
And what you want, I guess,
and
from a
you know, it's like that
relationship.
checklist I was saying before. Like, yes, I've got my checklist, but I also know what's on mine.
Yeah.
Like, I know what I'm bringing.
And what you can't bring.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
Like you've just kind of said there in terms of, you know, how you want to be when you go home. There's certain elements of that you can bring, and some you're just going to need a bit of support.
100%.
And, like,
and I think
well.
that's one of those things in that, you know, in those 2 years, those relationships, as I say, that I've kind of explored, I've had to be that person. And what I've realised is I don't want to be. So I need to make sure that, you know, the relationship that I end up in, I don't have to fill that role.
Yeah.
But again, I didn't know that. At whatever point in the last 2 years. So I would say that in terms of my not there yet, that's the bit I'm not there yet, but I feel in the best place I ever have to be ready for that bit. And like I said, I don't have this clock hanging over my head. So, you know, if it's taken me 10 years to get to this point, more, you know, longer than most people, I'm all right with that because I'm only 36. So, you know, God willing, I go for another few decades and I can still have a whole life with somebody. And I think, again, like age and stuff is such a big conversation with women. And I've got friends who will say, oh, I'm 36 or I'm 37 and da-da-da. And I really genuinely feel that age is such a privilege because not everybody gets to be 36. Not everybody gets to be 20.
Yes.
And if someone were to come to me today and say, that's it, you've got 6 weeks, suddenly 36 would feel like no age. And you'd start thinking about all the years that you have ahead of you that are going to be taken away.
Yeah.
So live like that because none of this is guaranteed. And, you know, it is a real privilege to get old and not everybody will get to do it.
Love that. So true. Right, we're going to quick fire.
Oh, God.
It's always quick fire and they're never quick. But it's fine, we try. What is one value that you refuse to compromise on?
Oh, God, one value that I refuse to compromise on. Honesty is really important to me. I think the worst thing someone can do is lie to me. And that could be a white lie or a massive lie. I just think it's the ultimate sign of disrespect to lie to somebody. Even if you are, you know, and you hear people talk about love lies and lying to protect someone. I don't believe in that. I think a lie is a lie. The longer a lie exists, the bigger the lie gets. So, you know, even if it's, I've put the bin out and you haven't, don't lie. Like, you know, like I just don't, there's no good that ever comes from lying. So lying for me, being honest, honesty is the biggest value to me.
I think as well, because you're so honest, right? Like you're such an honest person. So it kind of is like you say, like respect my honesty by being honest. Yeah. Because what's the point of it? 100%. What is a belief that you've changed your mind about?
A belief that I've changed my mind about? Gosh, that's really difficult. A belief that I've changed my mind about. That there is something wrong with you as a woman if you don't want to go down the traditional route of what being a woman might look like. I believed that for a really long time, which is strange because I would never think that about somebody else. If someone said to me, I don't want to be a mum, I would never think, what's wrong with you? But it's, you know, you're different to yourself, aren't you? And I think for a long time I did believe that there was something wrong with me. So maybe it's not I don't believe that generally, maybe it's I don't believe that about myself, that I'm broken in some way. It's just not something that's in me.
I think that was a big society thing
time
as well that puts that on you, isn't it? Right? Like,
yeah,
it's the same with, I mean, me and my partner, we're sober. Actually, like the belief, it's almost kind of a weird one in terms of you think because of society that people think a certain way about you, but actually most people just don't give a crap. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of the time it's your own kind of constructs in your head, isn't it?
Exactly.
That are kind of battling with you. But yeah, that was definitely a belief that I had about myself for a long time that I now know is not true.
Yeah. What's something you don't apologise for?
Pretty much everything. I don't apologise for my view on what a good female role model can look like, or that feminism is ultimately broken and is something we need to put in the bin. I don't apologise for that at all.
What habit keeps you grounded?
4:45 alarm every day.
It's impressive, I have to say. Like, I'm really trying to get myself into a better routine, and it's fucking hard.
It's hard for the first 3 weeks, and then it's a habit. But yeah, that my routine, my schedule is the thing that keeps me grounded. Without that, I am chaos, absolute chaos. So yeah, 4:45 alarm every day is the one for me. Yeah.
Nice. What's one thing you wish women heard more?
That you can literally choose whatever you want, and you don't have to make decisions based on other people in any way, whether that is your friends, your family, role models that you look up to. You don't have to make the same decisions. You can choose other things for yourself and be okay. You also have value beyond what your body is capable of doing. Like, you know, there is so much opportunity in being a woman. Like, we've talked about emotional intelligence, we've talked about, you know, all of those things, that you are not limited. Like, the worst thing for me is when women put ceilings in for themselves, because there are enough ceilings out there without you putting them in for yourself. So don't do it, you know, just go for it. Like I said before, if you can overthink some bad scenarios that haven't happened, you can absolutely overthink good scenarios. And the power of the mind is massive. You know, I resisted this whole thing about like power of the mind and manifestation for a really long time, but I'm learning recently that actually there's something in it. Like, the power of your own mind to put something out there that you want and bring it to, like, the law of attraction is fucking real. Like, it's absolutely real. And energy is real, right? Like, if you put out negativity, you will get negativity back. It's just like the algorithm. Like, algorithm is just digital energy. If you go looking and searching for negativity, you will be fed negativity. If you go, I follow an account on Instagram, and it's like Good News Nobody Hears, and every week she posts good news from around the world. And I just think, if I have to interact with the world, I'm going to interact through this scope. Because yes, I know there are horrendous things going on in the world. However, there are also some really good things. And that's not a choosing ignorance is bliss or rose-tinted glasses. I already know the bad stuff, but I would just really like to know that there are some nice things happening as well. And, you know, you can choose every day whether it's going to be a good day or a bad day.
That was an epic answer.
Clip that.
If you could have a coffee with anyone living or gone, who would it be?
God, who would it be? I think it would be my mum. She's living. And And I think what I would tell her is that she did a better job than she thought she did. I think as a mum, she has carried guilt's probably too strong of a word, but definitely feelings of she was against the grain. So, you know, I grew up in the 90s, and back then women gave up work or they got a job that suited the school hours.
Yeah.
That wasn't my mum. You know, my dad worked away. My mum had a career. She, you know, was bringing home the bacon as well. And therefore sacrifices had to be made in her eyes around the care of her children and, you know, things like that. School holidays weren't, you know, weeks and weeks at home with her. And I think she can often feel bad for that. And I would just say I have absolutely no feelings other than you being an incredible mum. And I think that the breakdown of my mum and dad's relationship, I think she carries a lot of guilt for what that did to me and my brother, who were the younger two and were at home when that happened. And again, I genuinely believe, my mum and dad, I genuinely believe hand on heart that they both did the best job that they knew how to do. And as a result, and in spite of themselves at some points, we all turned into 4 really great people. And there is nothing that I would change about the job that she did. And, you know, as a woman living the way I do, you know, she tells me all the time how incredibly proud she is of me. And, you know, and my dad as well is just so like, you just live your life so how you want it to. And I just would really like to tell her that she is and was always a fantastic mum. Because I don't think she sometimes thinks that about herself.
That's lovely. I think you should send her that part of this episode. That's so lovely. It's so interesting. It's almost like the older you get as an adult and as a woman as well, you kind of look at your mum and respect more what they did. I'm exactly the same. Like when I look back now and I think about, you know, my mum and dad were not well off when I was a child, and even like the small things, like I think about like school holidays, and I used to hate school holidays, like going to like a school club and things like that. And now I think about it, I'm like, well, of course, like they had to work full time, like but then they had to pay for the school holiday camp thing that I went to. Like it's so hard, but like at the time I was just like, oh yeah. But now you look back and you go, fuck it.
Yeah, I think as a woman, as I've got older, I think there are 2 points in time that happen with your parents. I think one is you realise your dad is not Superman, and the second is you realise that your mum was just trying to do her fucking best with the world as it was at the time. And I think you get to my dad's not Superman first. Yeah. And then I think through time you build exactly as you said of like, oh, like it's only now, let's say not now, probably, you know, the last 5 years, where I think by the time my mum was 35, so younger than me, she had 4 children, career, a husband who was working away all the time. She had, they didn't live near any of our family. So she had to deal with all of that on her own. And I could not imagine how she did it. Yeah. And that's what I mean by, I don't think she sees what she did as anything special. Whereas actually, I think what she did was incredible. So maybe the saying is you realise your dad isn't Superman, but your mum is Superwoman. Yeah. Maybe that's what you realise, you know, as you get older. But yeah, it is strange as you get older and you become a grown-up as well, don't you, alongside your parents. And it's mad how you, obviously you're always their child, but you become like on a level with them and understand things that you can't understand until time passes and you do get older.
Yeah, so true. And lastly, right now I'm not there. Sorry, finish the sentence. Right now I'm not there yet, but I'm working on.
Getting there. I think I'm working on finishing my puzzle. Oh. And for me, that puzzle is my personal world. That's my last bit now, and I feel like once that is complete, I'm in for a pretty good life, I would say.
Jordan, this has been epic.
Oh, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed that. I
minute.
feel like you should invoice me.
Oh, no!
That therapy.
Where can people find you?
So you can find me personally on LinkedIn, Jordan Stachini, the only person on LinkedIn, obviously, with that name. Co&co, we're on Instagram and TikTok at We Are Co&co. And then obviously wearecoandco.com as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh my God, that was great. Thank you for listening to this episode of Notes from the Not There Yet podcast. If you like this episode, please give us a follow or a subscribe. It means the world. You can also check out the website notthereyetproject.co.uk or follow us on all your major channels at Not There Yet Project. All right, we'll see you soon.